ghoulish face appears in the upstairs window before disappearing into the darkness. It's later revealed in the video that the article that the police officer found was about a woman named Rose Verez, who was known as the Witch of Del Rey. Verez was thought to have murdered up to 12 men in the 1930s, however her neighbours were too scared to testify against her because they believed she had supernatural powers that could make their children sick. Could the ghostly face that the police officer saw in the window of this burnt out old house be that of the infamous Del Rey Witch? In 2015, a CCTV camera in a Taiwanese alleyway captured this unnerving and creepy footage. As the heavy rain pours down, a man can be seen walking down the alleyway towards his parked motorbike. Just as the man reaches his bike, a young girl in a red dress mysteriously appears alongside the parked van at the opposite end of the alleyway. As the footage continues, a motorbike can be seen riding past in the background. If you take a closer look as the bike passes, however, you can see the wheels of the bike through the little girl's head. What makes this video even creepier is the fact that in Taiwan there's an urban legend known as the Girl in Red, a ghost of a young girl dressed in a red dress that stalks and haunts her victims. This video was filmed in a hospital in Guadalajara, Mexico. It shows an orderly laughing and joking around for the camera when suddenly a mysterious dark figure walks by the window. As the person holding the camera rushes to investigate, the two open the door and head into what appears to be an operating theatre. Suddenly, a table begins to move for no apparent reason. The startled pair quickly leave the room, and as they do, the camera holder does a full 360-degree sweep of the room. There's no one else in the room and no other door that the mysterious figure could have entered or exited from. What was this shadowy figure? Could it have been the ghost of someone that passed away in this very operating room? In 2015, a floating city appeared in the clouds above Foshan in the Guangdong province of China. It was witnessed by thousands of people, and footage of the mysterious city in the clouds even made the Chinese news. Many theories tried to explain the strange city in the sky. Some said it was part of a top-secret NASA-funded project known as Project Bluebeam, technology that can reportedly project large-scale holograms into the clouds. Others speculated that it could have been a doorway to an alternate reality that opened for just long enough to allow stunned onlookers to get a glimpse of another world. It wasn't the first time a city in the clouds has been spotted either. In 2011, this footage was taken in Huangshan City in China's Anhui province. What do you think these mysterious cities could be? Are they an optical illusion, government testing, or a gateway to another world? Let us know in the comments section below.
Well, that's the end of the episode. Thank you so much for watching. Now in the comment section below, let us know which one of these videos you thought was the most mysterious. If you're enjoying our content, hit that thumbs up button, subscribe if you're new. And that's it for me. I'll see you all next time. Pew! How you doing? I'm Callan and this is Slapped Ham. Today we're talking about the most terrifyingly haunted places in Canada. From the Whooping Woods to the ghost of a boy who drowned in a high school swimming pool, we count 10 of the most haunted places in Canada.
Deep in a forest in central New Brunswick, Canada, the ghost of a murdered logger reportedly cries out in the night. The story follows a man known as Ryan who worked as a cook at a logging camp in the Dungarvan Woods in Blackville. One day he was left alone with the boss of the camp as the other loggers all went out into the forest. When the loggers returned, they discovered that Ryan had been murdered, the boss claiming he suddenly became ill and died. They buried him nearby, and that night screams and loud whooping noises echoed through the camp. The noises continued through the next day and the camp was ultimately abandoned. Years later, when a different group of loggers wanted to use the camp, they started hearing the same noises. Eventually, a priest was brought in to put Ryan's spirit to rest. Here accounts differ. Some reports say the screams stopped and the priest was successful. But others say when the skeleton was unearthed and the priest began his work, the screams only got louder and the priest ran away. Screams and whoops are still reported to be heard in the forest today. Seal Island is located off the coast of Nova Scotia and is haunted by a woman named Annie Lindsay. Lindsay was a stewardess aboard the SS Ottawa, which was shipwrecked near Seal Island. She drowned in the lifeboat while trying to reach safety. Several days later, she was buried on the island. Her ghost has been seen many times wandering on the island. Her spirit stands on the shore looking ominously out to sea before vanishing. Reportedly, when her grave was disinterred, there was evidence that she had been buried alive. In June 1813, the ship Young Teaser sank in Mahone Bay. While being chased by British warships, it's thought that a crew member deliberately blew up the hull, setting the ship aflame. The crew was forced to abandon ship, leaving it to sink in the bay. As many as 30 crew members died from the accident. The survivors were badly burnt and clinging to debris when they were rescued by people from the local village. For years, there have been many sightings of the ship re-sinking, the event referred to as Teaser's Light. Sightings increase in their frequency around the anniversary of the ship's tragic accident. Montreal has numerous haunted locations, the most famous being the Auberge Le Saint Gabriel Inn. Built in 1754, the inn is the oldest in North America. In the early 19th century, the building caught fire. Tragically, a young girl was trapped in one of the burning rooms and lost her life. Since that fateful day, she's been seen by many people throughout the years. Guests often report seeing her down the end of the Auberge's long dark hallways. She stares at them, then disappears eerily through the wall. The Fairmont Empress Hotel, located on Vancouver Island, is notorious for its ghosts. It was named one of the world's most famous hotels by Reader's Digest. There are reports that the architect of the hotel, Francis Rattenbury, still wanders around the hotel, his spirit eternally attached to the property. Then there's the ghost of Lizzie McGrath, a chambermaid who tragically fell to her death. One day, while cleaning one of the rooms, she attempted to step out onto the fire escape, but instead plummeted several stories to the ground below. Unknown to her, the fire escape had been removed for construction and repairs. Now some guests say they've heard terrible screams outside their windows. And probably the most unsettling of all, an unnamed elderly woman is said to knock on people's doors. She urgently leads guests to the elevator where she disappears into thin air. The Fairmont Banff Springs is a castle surrounded by the Canadian Rockies mountain range. It's known for several notorious ghost sightings. In the 1920s, a young bride-to-be was staying at the property. One afternoon, she was descending a staircase in her wedding dress when she was startled. She tripped and fell to her death. Since then, staff and guests have reportedly seen her around the halls, on the staircase, and even in the ballroom. Some say she stands expectantly in her pristine white dress, waiting for her wedding day that will never come. The new Westminster Secondary School is haunted by several ghosts, mostly by former students. In the 1970s, a boy drowned in the school pool. Since then, several security guards have reported seeing the corpse of a boy floating in the water. Whenever anyone tries to rescue the boy, his body vanishes into the waters below. Then there's the ghost of a boy who died in the woodwork shop in the mid-1980s. Allegedly, there is security footage of a young boy wandering the room during the middle of the night. The Tranquil Sanatorium was built in British Columbia in 1907. Until 1958, the facility was used to treat people with tuberculosis. However, the facility closed that year. Around a year later, it was reopened as a mental health facility. It closed again 30 years later and was bought by a dairy company. After realizing that the sanatorium was haunted, they started hosting excursions of the property. During the tours, past patients have been seen wandering the halls, strange whispers have been heard, and there's even been several reports of glowing orbs throughout the building and grounds. The Craigderich Castle was built in British Columbia in the last half of the 19th century by a Scottish immigrant. He and his wife had a large family of 10 children. There are many reported sightings of ghosts in the castle. Crying children can be inexplicably heard, as well as spectral music playing throughout the halls. Visitors have reported whispering voices coming from seemingly nowhere as they wander the castle. Ghostly infants have been seen disappearing in the castle, as well as the spirit of a little girl and a woman in a white dress. In 1879, at 242 William Street, Montreal, Canada, Susan Kennedy went on a murderous rampage. After a fit of jealousy, she killed several people, including close friend Mary Gallagher. Since that tragic day, there have been several ghost sightings throughout the building. It is said that the spirit of Mary Gallagher wanders the halls of this old property. Every 7 years, her decapitated body appears stumbling about looking for its head.
Well, there's another episode down. Thank you so much for watching. If you're new to the channel, why not hit that subscribe button right there, or the red one down below. Remember to give us an upward facing thumb if you enjoyed the content. Leave us a comment down below as well. We love reading them. And that's it for me. I'll see you all next time. Pew! How you doing? I'm Callan and this is Slapped Ham. Today we're looking at shocking UFO sightings caught on tape. From a bizarre rectangle UFO floating over China to some footage captured by the Chilean Navy that's left experts dumbfounded. Join us as we take a look at 10 UFO sightings you need to see.
This striking footage emerged in August 2017, filmed by several residents in Jinan, the capital of China's eastern province, Shandong. There in the sky is a bizarre rectangle shape hovering above the clouds. Two separate cameras captured the same sighting, as well as numerous residents all saying they saw the same strange shape flying in the sky. When the footage was posted on August 13, many took to Weibo, a social media site in China, to discuss the incident. Some say it was the door to heaven opening up, while others thought it looked like a glowing magic carpet. According to local reports, the phenomenon may have just been spotlights projecting onto the clouds in the night sky. While it does look very similar to a spotlight, normally you can detect a trail of light to the point of origin. This looks to be illuminated from behind an object. Whatever the case may be, it makes for an amazing piece of footage that still remains a mystery today. On a warm Tuesday morning on the 21st of February 2017, a UFO passed over Tasmania, Australia. The object looked like it was on fire as it streaked across the sky. Filmed by hundreds of eyewitnesses, the strange glowing object sparked fierce online debate. In the video, we see a bright yellow streak trailing in the morning sky. It looks like it's a flame, almost like a meteorite entering the atmosphere. When the video was shared to Facebook, it garnered thousands of views within days. Many polarizing theories were suggested, from space junk, fireball meteorites and contrails to fairies and alien visitors. Official reports said the incident was nothing more than an aircraft as it passed over Australian airspace. However, this did little to satiate witness theories, with many heralding the incident as aliens visiting from outer space. This mass UFO sighting occurred on July 23, 2011 in Sao Paulo, Brazil. The incident was reported by dozens of eyewitnesses and even caught the attention of a local news report. Up to 4 separate pieces of footage were publicly released, all capturing the same strange circular shape floating in the sky. In the first video, we see a blue orb of light surrounded by a wheel of smaller, rotating white lights. Skeptics have noted that the grainy footage may be nothing more than a Ferris wheel filmed by a tilted camera. However, in the second eyewitness's video, we see the same orbiting lights from a different angle. This perspective shows the object from the side. The rotating lights seem to form a disc shape. This angle makes it easier to see that the lights are floating in the sky. If we take a look at the third piece of footage, it shows the object has stopped spinning and is now all white. The interesting thing about this viewpoint is that the camera zooms out, showing that the UFO is actually really far away, becoming just a single dot when fully zoomed out. Finally, the fourth eyewitness's footage is different again. This time the object seems to have formed a triangular formation with a blue and green hue. This is some bizarre footage that was uploaded to YouTube back in 2007. For this video, we used the literal sense of the acronym UFO, as in it's an unidentified flying object. It's not necessarily alien in origin, but it's a flying craft of a speculative nature. In the clip, we see a man flying around in a small craft not much larger than an average-sized wheelie bin. It has a fan jet engine on the bottom and has 2 landing feet similar to a helicopter. The video states that the craft is known as a WASP, an experimental vertical takeoff and landing system developed in the 1970s under the supervision of the US military. It can fly for 30 to 45 minutes at a maximum speed of 97 kilometers or around 60 miles per hour, with a vertical flying limit of 3,000 meters, which is around 10,000 feet. According to sources, the military discontinued the development of the aircraft as they deemed it inferior to helicopters and other flying craft at the time. In January 2017, striking footage emerged out of Salento, Italy. A local man noticed something strange in the sky at around 8 PM local time. He filmed the bizarre object with his smartphone. In the video, we see a bright white light hovering in the night sky. The mysterious UFO seems to change colour from white to green. At one point, it even transforms into a halo shape right before vanishing completely. The video is believed to be genuine and hasn't been manipulated in any way. It was posted to Facebook by Lucio Margiotta, a music teacher at the Music Academy of Salento. He was astonished at what he had captured, saying, "I don't know what it was, but it's very strange." Opinions on the footage vary greatly. Some commentators thought that perhaps the smartphone that the clip was filmed on distorted the image when it zoomed in, creating that strange halo effect. Others thought it could be Venus. Another user heralded the footage as the arrival of the sphere beings, creatures from another planet that he says visit him frequently. Whatever the case may be, it's still an amazing piece of footage. Could it be that aliens are observing our planet, or is this just a technological malfunction? Love to hear your thoughts in the comment section below. There's not a lot of solid information to go on with this clip. It began appearing on YouTube in 2015. It claims to be filmed somewhere in Hawaii, however several channels report different dates for the sighting. In the video, we see a large cylinder-shaped white UFO floating in the sky. Around the center object are half a dozen or so flashing lights. They pulse in and out of sight, darting here and there in the blue sky. The bigger object begins to move downward before flashing out of view. The other objects continue to pulse before darting quickly to the right of screen. It's hard to make further comment on this video as there's very little else to go on. The person who captured the footage has never come forward, plus the differing dates and lack of precise location err this footage on the side of a hoax. If anyone has any information on this footage, leave a comment down below. This astonishing footage baffled government officials for more than 2 years and was officially released to the public in early 2017. This clip was filmed on November 11, 2014 by a Chilean Navy helicopter pilot. An accompanying technician also witnessed the event and was at the time testing an infrared camera. In the footage, we see a disc-shaped object trailing across the sky. It flies at a similar altitude and trajectory of the helicopter. At 2 separate times, the UFO discharges a trail of hot liquid. The object could be seen by the naked eye and by infrared camera. However, the helicopter's radar detected no nearby craft. After the technician reported the sighting, air traffic control confirmed that there was no aircraft planned to fly in that airspace at that time, nor could they detect anything flying at that time. The pilot made several attempts to contact the craft using the multinational civilian bandwidth, which is designed for these occasions. There was no answer. An official investigation was launched by the CEFAA, a specialized Chilean government agency which examines UFOs and UAPs, unidentified aerial phenomena. After an exhaustive inquiry, the agency couldn't come to any definite conclusions. This footage is considered to be some of the most significant UFO footage ever captured. The 2 highly reliable Navy witnesses, the quality footage filmed on military-grade equipment, the fact that it goes for 9 minutes all amounts to some of the most compelling evidence of the existence of extraterrestrials. This footage was captured in mid-2016 by a pilot flying over Chicago, Illinois. In the video, we see 3 glowing balls of light. They fly in a triangle formation right next to the plane. The 3 orbs shift about in the air effortlessly before taking off at great speeds towards the bottom of the screen. The maneuverability of the objects is far too agile for it to be other commercial aircraft or even military fighter jets. Reactions to this viral video vary, from reflections on the window, weather phenomenon and lightning, to angels and enlightened flying beings. What do you think this pilot has captured? Could this be proof of aliens from another planet? In early 2011, 2 motorists in Sao Paulo, Brazil captured this startling footage of a UFO hiding behind a cloud. Submitted to a local TV station, G1, the video garnered significant media attention. In the clip, we see a floating object hovering just behind a cloud. It holds there for around 60 seconds before taking off in a dazzling light display. The 2 witnesses were gobsmacked at the incident. According to the TV report, the cameraman felt the earth shake the moment the UFO flashed out of sight. However, there was no recorded seismic activity at the time the event took place. Skeptics claim if you analyse frames of the footage, right as the truck passes in the clip, there are noticeable alterations that aren't visible to the naked eye. However, the 2 eyewitnesses maintain the authenticity of the footage. A mass UFO sighting occurred in the skies over Cornwall, England in July 2017. Numerous people captured footage of a strange shape-shifting object hovering in the sky. The phenomena happened over several days, with dozens of witnesses reporting the event. The first sighting occurred on Monday, July 18th, when surfer Kiefer Krishnan posted his GoPro footage to Instagram. Photographer Shane House was the second to come forward with amazing footage of the object hovering above the A30 freeway. The UFO seems to shimmer in and out of visibility against the cloudy English sky. Next, a Twitter user by the name of Harry Wild posted his version of events on Fistral Beach. Again, the same strange shimmering shape floating through the sky. Many responded to the tweet, noting that it looked like a swarm of birds or insects drifting through the air. 3 more sightings occurred on the Tuesday, all showing the exact same object in the sky. Many news outlets around England were quick to point out that the footage may be a planned hoax orchestrated by a local conservationist initiative. The Eden Project is a series of gigantic greenhouse domes that house exotic plants and various exhibitions in Cornwall. At the time of the UFO sightings, the Eden Project was hosting an event called Alien Encounter. While they never officially owned up to the publicity stunt, it seems likely that they were the culprits.
Hello, Ham Fam. How you all doing? I just wanted to let you know, last week I sat down with Tim from Super Mayhem and he interviewed me about my life, my gaming habits, and whether I like to be chained or whipped. If you want to find out the answer to that question, you can find a link to the interview in a description box below. One should pop up right here now as well. Check it out, it's a lot of fun. Well, there's the end of the episode. Thank you so much for watching. If you're enjoying our content, hit that thumbs up button. If you're new, remember to subscribe because we do stuff like this each and every week. And that's it from me. I'll see you all next time. Pew!
Slap
Japan's most haunted places. From the spirit of a World War II soldier visiting a military base to the tormented screams of a murdered young girl, join us as we take a look at Japan's most haunted places. This site, known only as Triple S Curve, is found on the Japanese island of Okinawa. There is very little information about this haunted area other than it's meant to be a hotbed of psychic energy. One Japanese forum claims that several soldiers lost their lives here. Visitors to the site have reported feelings of intense nausea, dizziness, vomiting and even hallucinations. One man said he felt a ghostly hand rest on his shoulder when walking through the woods. At the old military base known as Sagami Depot in Kanagawa Prefecture, there is a seldom used field hospital that is said to be rife with paranormal activity. The military police send new recruits to the field hospital just to test them out. Patrols often report windows ajar, doors that have been locked left wide open even though they'd just been checked the night before. There's often disembodied whispers heard in the abandoned rooms. Shadow figures have been sighted roaming the grounds despite the field hospital having not been used in years. These reports have come from both Japanese and American soldiers. Formerly the Numahagashi Elementary School in Bihai City, this round schoolhouse is said to be a hotbed for paranormal activity. Built in 1906 as a learning centre, it was used as an elementary school through the 40s, 50s and 60s, becoming abandoned in the early 70s. There are reports of children going missing in the later years of the school. Locals warn people not to visit the abandoned schoolyard as they often hear terrible noises coming from the nearby forest. Now they say anyone who enters the crumbling ruin disappears or returns insane. Camp Hansen is a United States Marine Corps base located in Okinawa, Japan. Inside the compound at the infamous Gate 3, many soldiers have reported strange activity. It is said that every weekend a soldier dressed in World War II fatigues approaches the gate. He is covered in blood with a cigarette hanging from his mouth. He asks the on-duty guard for a light, then vanishes from sight. There are reports of this gate being closed altogether just because of this haunting. Some Japanese guards even refuse to be posted there. The well in Himeji Castle in Japan's Hyogo Prefecture is said to be haunted by a young girl who shrieks at night time. The legend tells of a young girl named Okiku who served the samurai Aoyama Tasan. On many occasions, Okiku refused to become the samurai's lover. After many advances, Aoyama decided to trick the girl by hiding one of the family's 10 precious Delft plates. The samurai blackmailed the poor girl, saying that he'd be willing to overlook the missing plate if they became lovers. Okiko refused once more. Enraged, the samurai threw Okiku into the well, killing her immediately. It is said that Okiku's spirit became an onryo, a vengeful ghost that haunts the scene of her death. On clear nights, her spirit rises from the well, counts to 9, then lets out a chilling scream before descending back into the dark waters below. The Doryoda ruins in Adakayama Park in Hachioji, Tokyo were once a place of worship, but now they're known for something more sinister. In 1963, an 83-year-old woman was found brutally murdered on the side of the old temple. She was killed by a robber who looted the temple and left the old lady's body in the forest. Then, just 10 years later, a young student from St. Paul's University was found dead amongst the abandoned ruins. It was reported that the girl was having an affair with the university lecturer Oba Hiroshi. When the affair became publicly known, the professor, who was married with 2 children, felt his only way out was to murder the young girl and hide her body in the rural temple. The body was not discovered for several weeks. Locals told the police that they heard a young girl's voice coming from the forest that said, "I'm here, I'm here." In 1983, the old temple was dismantled. Many visitors claim they feel a sudden sadness come over them when they visit the site. Others say the voice of the young girl can still be heard crying out in the night, begging to be found. Located in the Ikebukuro area of Tokyo, Sunshine 60 is reported to be the world's first haunted skyscraper. Employees and construction workers alike tell stories of disembodied screams, chains rattling, and faces disappearing into the shadows. Built in 1978, this shopping centre and business hub once had the crown of the tallest building in Asia. However, despite its record-setting achievement and cheery name, it had a hard time relinquishing its sinister past. This enormous building was built on the former grounds of the infamous Sagamu prison. In its prime, the jail housed up to 2,000 inmates, 7 of which were executed on site. In the public eye, the Sunshine 60 project was deemed cursed. During its construction, many workers inexplicably lost their lives, some dying of equipment and others falling from great heights, even though all safety precautions were in place. The workers often complained of strange noises, whispers or crying, chains rattling along the cement floors. Paranormal activity continued once the Sunshine 60's doors opened to the public, making it one of Japan's most haunted places. Customers have reported seeing faces in change rooms, orbs of light, and ghostly hands touch them as they go about their shopping. Many say they've seen a young girl jump off the roof of the building. Shocked and frightened, customers rush to the windows expecting to see the young girl hit the pavement below, but there's nothing. Another regular apparition is the old lady that haunts the offices of the building. She's said to be gaunt and haggard with no eyeballs. She crawls about the cubicles of the offices whispering, "Where is it?" but when confronted, just disappears into nothing. Situated in the Shinjuku ward of Tokyo is the site of a mass burial ground for one of Japan's most sinister war crimes. Toyama Park was the former site of Tokyo Army Medical College, which housed the infamous Unit 731. They were a group of doctors tasked with developing chemical and biological weapons in World War II. They would perform sinister experiments on Chinese and Russian prisoners of war. The doctors would infect and dissect the soldiers while they were still alive. In 1989, the experiments were exposed when construction began in Toyama Park. As construction workers cleared the land for a new medical center, they unearthed hundreds of mutilated remains. The bones had clear signs of experimentation. Author Seiichi Muramura, who wrote a book about the atrocious medical experiments, said the acts of 731 are the equivalent to Auschwitz. Many people claim they hear tormented screams throughout the park, especially at night. They feel as though they're being watched and can feel a great sadness in the area. They say the souls of the victims are trapped, looking to be released from their eternal torture. Well that's a bit terrifying. As always, thanks heaps for watching. If you're enjoying the creepy content, hit that thumbs up button, it really helps us out. If you're new to the channel, then why not subscribe, because we have content just like this coming out each and every week. And this is our slap term shining.
How you doing? I'm Callan and this is Slapped Ham. Today we're talking about some really creepy vampire stories. From witnessed accounts of actual vampire attacks to whole towns plagued by the undead. Join us as we take a look at 5 real vampires that actually existed. And before we get into it, remember to hit that subscribe button for more creepy content just like this.
In 1912, the US state of Louisiana was gripped by fear after a bizarre spate of murders. The victims were all found dismembered in their own home, but there was little to no blood present at the scene. After police efforts to catch the murderer proved futile, rumours began circulating that the culprit may actually be a vampire. After several more bodies were discovered, the locals pleaded with Father Henry Jante, a local Catholic priest, for help. Jante met with a local voodoo priest by the name of Moses Amashan, and together they decided to hunt the vampire. The two holy men set about mapping the crimes. They discovered that the murders seemed to follow the train line, leading them to believe that the person they were looking for might be employed by the railway. They began to monitor one particular station where they spotted a man neither had ever seen before. He was ghostly pale and appeared to have blood smeared on his clothing. Here's where the reports get even stranger. In an effort to learn the man's identity, it was said that the priests hunted down and destroyed several minions who confirmed that the man, August Delagrange, was indeed the head vampire they were looking for. The next night, the two men made their way to an isolated shack deep in the middle of the bayou. Delagrange was sleeping inside, presumed weak from lack of feeding. Jante took a wooden stake and drove it straight into the heart of the beast. Jante claims that Delagrange didn't make a sound, only opened his eyes wide and stared into the face of the priest before fading into hell. August Delagrange was believed to have murdered more than 40 people before he was staked by the priest. Today his skeleton can be seen on display at the Vampire Museum located on the outskirts of the French Quarter in New Orleans. This photo here is of a small wooden box said to contain the vampire's heart, along with the wooden stake that killed him. In 1726, a man named Arnold Pale was reported to have become a vampire in the small Serbian town of Medwenja. According to reports compiled by several Austrian military doctors who were sent to investigate the case, Pale was said to have become a vampire after falling to his death from a hay wagon. The villagers said that Pale often claimed that he had been plagued by a vampire in his former homeland, but that he believed he had cured himself by eating soil from the vampire's grave and smearing himself with its blood. Shortly after Pale's death, members of the village began claiming to have been attacked by him. In each case, the witnesses mysteriously died just days later. When the local military heard of what was happening, they advised the villagers to open the suspected vampire's grave and examine the corpse. Despite being dead for 40 days, Pale's body was still intact and his veins contained fluid blood. His hair and beard had continued to grow and there was fresh blood in his mouth and on his shirt. The villagers concluded that Pale was indeed a vampire and drove a stake deep into his heart. As they did so, he is said to have let out a frightful shriek, groaning and bleeding. The villagers burned the body and then staked and burned the bodies of his 4 victims as well. About 5 years later, another spate of mysterious deaths began to plague the area. The locals believed that the first to die, a woman named Melitza, was to blame as she had once mentioned that she had eaten 2 sheep that had been killed by vampires. It was thought that those sheep were killed by the original vampire, Arnold Pale. Locals began reporting that the deceased were attacking them in the middle of the night. One girl by the name of Stanoska claimed she had been strangled in her sleep by a boy that had died 9 weeks prior. She passed away just 3 days later. Households gathered together in the evenings, some members standing watch while others slept. The locals complained to the military, who sent an infectious disease specialist named Glaser to investigate. He found that many of the diseased showed no signs of decomposition, and some even had fresh blood in their mouths. He compiled a report recommending that the authorities should pacify the population by fulfilling its request to execute the vampires. Shortly after, a second commission consisting of 3 military surgeons, one of whom was Dr. Johann Flukinger, as well as several other military officers who were sent to investigate. They too found that several of the older bodies had not decayed and their chests and other organs were filled with fresh blood. The surgeons summarized their findings by stating that the bodies were indeed in vampiric condition. The suspected vampires had their heads cut off and their bodies burned. The others were reburied in their graves. The amazing thing about this case is that it's been reported on by so many experts. The disease specialist Glaser even sent the details of his findings to his father, also a doctor and a correspondent of a prominent Nuremberg journal. He wrote a letter to the journal detailing the case, and the reports of both Glaser and Flukinger were reprinted in several articles. Could this small Serbian town have actually been plagued by vampires, or did all these experts somehow get their reports wrong? Let us know what you think in the comments section below. In 1954, it was reported that a mysterious 7-foot-tall vampire with iron teeth was terrorising the residents in the Gorbals district of Glasgow, Scotland. After the vampire was said to have killed 2 young boys in the area, hundreds of school children descended on the local cemetery. Armed with knives and wooden stakes, the children searched the graveyard for the vampire. Even the police were powerless to stop the children, who only left the cemetery after it began to rain heavily. They continued their search for the elusive vampire for the next 2 nights. The story made headlines all around the world. Soon the whole country was in the grip of a full-blown vampire panic. Local parliamentarians believed that the source of the bizarre rumours could be traced back to a popular American comic book of the time. As a result, they championed the 1955 Children and Young Persons Harmful Publications Act, which was eventually passed. The act, which still stands today, prohibits comics that are believed to be harmful to children. While it was never clear whether or not the children ever found the vampire, several of those who descended on the cemetery in 1954 can still recall the bizarre tale. One vampire hunter, Ronnie Sanderson, said, "I was there, I was in the graveyard when I was 8 years old. I've been telling my wife about the vampire for years and she's never believed me." First published in 1746, the treatise on the apparitions of spirits and on vampires or revenants of Hungary was an extensive investigation into the paranormal written by Benedictine monk Anton Augustin Kelmet. The book covered all manner of the supernatural, from angels, demons and ghosts to witchcraft and sorcery. The work analysed accounts of the various topics from mythology and folklore, as well as the Bible and historically documented accounts. It was divided into 3 tomes, the second of which contained 63 chapters, all dedicated to vampires and the undead. One documented account was that of a soldier who, in 1730, was lodging at a peasant's house in Hungary. The soldier claimed that he was sitting with a homeowner and his family for dinner when a man that he didn't know entered the house and sat down. The soldier noticed that the homeowner appeared to be fearful of the unknown dinner guest. The next morning, the homeowner was discovered dead. The family told the soldier that the strange man that sat at the table the night before was actually the father of the homeowner, who had been dead for more than 10 years. The soldier informed his regiment and the army began to investigate. The captain of the infantry, along with several officers and a surgeon, interviewed members of the man's family, along with other residents of the village. The accounts matched those of the soldier, and the father's corpse was exhumed. They found that the father, although dead for more than 10 years, still had the blood flow of a living man. The captain ordered his head to be cut off and his remains reburied in the tomb. Sometime later, the same captain received information that another man who had been dead for more than 30 years returned to his family's home on 3 separate occasions. Each time he was said to have sucked the blood of one of the members of the house. Firstly his brother, then son, and finally a servant. All three men were reported to have died immediately after being attacked. Once again, the man was suspected of being a vampire and his corpse was exhumed. Just like the previous case, the man's body was found to have a living blood flow, despite the fact that he had been dead for more than 30 years. The captain ordered a large nail to be driven through the man's temple and his corpse placed back into the grave. Before we get to the number one spot and learn about a famous vampire case that was reported in the media just a few decades ago, remember to hit that subscribe button and turn on channel notifications. That way you'll be up to date with all our latest content. This photo, taken sometime between the late 1960s and early 70s, was captured in the Highgate Cemetery, London. The dark robed figure in the centre of the image is believed by many to be a king vampire of the undead, said to have been a Romanian nobleman brought to London by his devoted followers. In 1970, sightings of the vampire grew. On Friday the 13th of March, two men, Sean Manchester and David Ferrant, vowed to find and destroy the evil creature. The media reported the story, and within 2 hours a mob of hunters from all over London began swarming over the locked gates of the cemetery to confront the beast. Manchester claimed he led a group to one particular catacomb where they managed to climb inside through a hole in the roof. He said they opened several coffins and placed garlic and holy water inside. Some months later, the charred and headless corpse of a woman was found near the catacomb that Manchester said he had entered. Ferrant was arrested soon after in the churchyard next to Highgate Cemetery, carrying a crucifix and a wooden stake. Shortly after Ferrant was arrested, Manchester and his group returned to the cemetery. This time they forced open the doors to another family vault where they believed the coffin of the vampire had been moved to. Just as Manchester was about to stake the body inside, he was persuaded to leave the vault by several members of the group. 3 years later, Manchester claimed he again encountered the same corpse. This time it was in the cellar of an abandoned house in the Highgate area. Believing it had to be the vampire he was searching for, he staked and burned the body. While mysterious sightings are still reported at the Highgate Cemetery to this day, no one knows for sure if the king vampire of the undead still lurks within the grounds. Was this cemetery actually home to a real vampire? Was the beast destroyed, or could it still lie waiting in a sinister slumber, soon to awake and take its next victim?
Well, that's the end of another episode. Thank you so much for watching. If you're enjoying our content, hit that upward facing thumb. Now in the comments section below, let us know what you thought of these vampire stories. What do you think, real or fake? Well, that's it from me. I'll see you all next time. How you doing? I'm Callan and this is Slapped Ham. Today we're talking about alien sightings. From scientists conducting experiments on alien greys to an extraterrestrial spotted in Australian grasslands. We count 10 real alien sightings that are caught on camera.
This is allegedly some footage released from WikiLeaks. It claims to be an interview with a grey alien from the Roswell, New Mexico crash in 1947. Shot inside Area 51, scientists are conducting a series of tests on the extraterrestrial being. They're testing its reflexes, cognitive ability, as well as viral susceptibility within our atmosphere. Real or fake, it's an amazing piece of footage that has sparked considerable discussion around the internet. After this husband and wife complained about a suspected peeping Tom in their yard, it was suggested that they set up a camera by the window. Then, one night after noticing two flashing lights, the husband glanced out the window. What he sees will give you chills. If you look closely, you can see some kind of creature look through the window. It bobs up and down several times before giving this guy the fright of his life. This now famous footage first appeared in 1997. A very secretive man, known only as Victor, claims to have obtained this video from the US government. He says it was filmed in a section of Area 51 known as S4. He claims that the alien is seated behind a glass wall in a decontaminated, temperature-controlled room. Allegedly, there is a telepath trying to communicate with the extraterrestrial being. However, the creature becomes distressed and medical staff are forced to intervene. Many experts have tried to debunk this footage but often fall short of any definite conclusions. It is widely considered some of the most convincing evidence of the existence of alien life. Shot in 2005, the owner of this video initially didn't notice anything strange while filming in the cemetery. However, when they reviewed the footage nearly 6 years later, they noticed something chilling. As the camera pans around the gravestones, you can see some kind of humanoid creature hiding in the cemetery. The figure is grey and gaunt looking with an oversized skull. It seems to cautiously observe the camera, then disappear just seconds later. This piece of striking footage was allegedly filmed in 1987 in a secret military base. A Mexican officer claimed he obtained this footage from an undisclosed US military base. According to the informant, Mexico abides by what's known as an information exchange protocol, which means neighbouring governments can exchange secret information regarding space travel, alien technologies, and the existence of otherworldly beings. This footage purports to be a medical examination of an extraterrestrial creature. In a facility known only as G13, they test the alien's reflexes, sensitivity to light, its cognitive and auditory capabilities. Whether it's a hoax or not, it's still a remarkable piece of footage that continues to stir debate amongst the paranormal community. The owner of this house kept noticing his security light coming on sporadically during the night. He installed a camera on his back porch to find out what was tripping the sensor. What the camera spotted is truly chilling. You can see a humanoid figure peering out alongside the fence. It has eerie black eyes with a striking facial structure. What do you think this security camera has captured? Let us know in the comments section below. This footage was captured sometime in 2016 by a gas station security camera in Peru. At the rear of the pumps, we can see a figure stalking in the bushes. It looks small and silver and almost robotic in the way it moves. Initially, it could be anything, a curious animal, a piece of rubbish drifting in the wind, but things get interesting when a customer notices the object in the distance. He becomes more and more interested in whatever it is and starts to move towards it. The object or creature seems to react to the man's presence, pauses for a moment, then drifts eerily through the air. Before long, several more curious onlookers chase the creature into the bush. We'd love to get your opinion on this one. What do you think it is? Leave a comment down below. This footage was captured in an unknown part of Australia. While sitting at the dinner table, this young boy notices something moving in the grasslands behind his house. He quickly grabs a camera and begins filming. What he spots lurking in the tall grass is unsettling to say the least. Inside the thick brush, there appears to be an alien-like animal staring back at the camera. It has big glossy eyes and a dome-shaped head. Unfortunately, the creature vanishes into the dark of the night before being identified. This video was taken in July 2015 in Nuevo Laredo in the Mexican state of Tamaulipas. After hearing some strange noises on his roof, this man grabbed his camera to investigate. At first, he's confused and looks towards the bushes at the rear of his property. Then he hears something crawling across his tin roof. In plain sight is a slender creature with long arms and legs, an elongated neck and small head. It pauses for a second, then leaps over the roof. Is this an extraterrestrial being, or is it just Slender Man naked and afraid? This alarming footage claims to show an extraterrestrial being held captive by the Brazilian government. In the video, several soldiers berate the creature, asking it to speak. It murmurs a number of times and appears to be chained to the seat. Allegedly, after the footage was leaked, the alien creature vanished from custody. Some say the US government intervened and seized all evidence.
Well, hey, that's the end of the episode. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoy our content, then why not consider supporting us on Patreon? You could even get your name scrolling above the top there. For all the details, head on over to our Patreon campaign. There's a link in the description box. And that's it for me. I'll see you all next time. Pew! How you doing? I'm Callan and this is Slapped Ham. Today we're looking at some really chilling photos. From shadow people warning of future tragic events to a ghostly figure caught on camera on an Xbox Kinect. Join us as we take a look at 12 mysterious shadow people that can't be explained.
When these three women had their photo taken out the front of their home, they couldn't have known the chilling image that would develop. Behind the three ladies, you can see what looks like the shadow of a man wearing a hat. If you look closely, you can see that the shadow figure has placed a hand on the shoulder of the woman on the left. It is said that 3 days after this photo was taken, the woman died in a horrible car accident. The photographer claims that there was certainly no hatted man standing behind the woman when the photograph was taken, and is simply baffled by the image. Perhaps this strange shadow appeared as a sort of omen, foreshadowing the tragic events that would unfold just 3 days later. This is allegedly a photo of a shadow figure that haunts the shores of Pawleys Island, South Carolina. For decades, residents have reported sightings of a strange shadowy man that appears on the beach right before severe storms and natural disasters. They say he comes as a premonition for the local people, warning them of impending danger. Legends say that the Grey Man is the ghost of a young traveller who tragically died many years ago. They say he was on his way to see his fiancée when he got caught in quicksand in the marshland that once surrounded Pawleys Island. Now his shadow is left behind, forced to eternally wander in search of his lost love. Couple Jim and Clara Moore claim they saw the Grey Man on the beach the day before Hurricane Hugo battered the region in 1989. They said they saw a strange legless man down on the beach. When they called out to him, the figure vanished from sight. The following day, the Category 5 storm hit shore, causing more than $7 billion worth of damage. When the Moores were allowed to return home, they found their house completely intact. However, the neighbours on all sides had their homes obliterated by the raging storm. The Moores swear that the Grey Man appeared as an omen, warning them of the catastrophe that was yet to take place. They feel they were blessed by the spirit who spared them from the storm. This is some very creepy footage uploaded to a channel on YouTube called Faceless Nights. In it, we see a gamer setting up his Xbox Kinect while testing a live stream. He browses a few options, changes a few vision modes, but when he changes to night vision mode, he captures something truly terrifying. On the right of screen, you can clearly see a shadow person lurking in the rear of the room. The figure almost looks like it's wearing a black robe. It has long, slender fingers and a strange floating quality to it. The entity darts off screen as soon as it notices it's visible on camera. The guy filming looks very startled as he double checks the room for anything resembling the strange black spectre. When the video went live, it quickly got spread around social media, racking up nearly 2 million views. Skeptics thought that there were jump cuts edited into the clip, but as Faceless Nights explains in another video, the Kinect changes aspect ratio every time a new vision mode is used, so it looks as though things move on the desk or the person changes position. Faceless Nights doesn't have an explanation for what he captured, but he fervently denies that he tampered with the footage in any way. With this encounter in mind, how creepy is the tagline, "What else does Kinect see?" This photo was taken in Alcatraz, a former prison complex often cited to be one of the most haunted locations in the US. Visitors to Alcatraz often report strange phenomena while touring the site. They feel cold spots, hear whispers in empty rooms, and often experience inexplicable feelings of despair or rage. People claim to see shadows moving and cell doors opening on their own. When photographer Glenn Shelton took this strange photo, he believed it to be definitive proof that the prison complex is haunted by otherworldly beings. While the photo doesn't depict a shadow person as such, it has captured a long black shroud of some kind. It has many of the properties that witnesses report when seeing shadow people. If you look, the object doesn't seem to react to lighting in the same way the other parts of the building do, and it has a sort of misty or smoky quality to it. Could this be the spirit of a former inmate who is now forced to eternally linger in limbo among the dark halls of Alcatraz? This photo was taken in the attic of an unknown restaurant in the US. For over a decade, employees reported strange sightings in the roof of the restaurant. They say they've seen shadows lurking, felt nauseous for no apparent reason, as well as had feelings of dread wash over them. Finally, one employee took a photo when they felt they were being watched. Later that night, when reviewing the photos, they spotted this ominous shadow figure. It has the clear outline of a head and shoulders, but its lower body looks almost like vapor and lacks any real definition. When co-workers saw the image, they all agreed that this is the shadow entity they had all seen over the years. This is some strange footage that was captured live on The Larry King Show. Live on air, CNN is doing a tour of Michael Jackson's home in Neverland shortly after he passed away. As the camera crew walk around the house, a shadow figure can be seen passing quickly down the end of the hallway. It looks to be a lurching, transparent presence, as though it's the shadow of someone walking by. This footage has been seen by millions of people, and some say it's the ghost of Michael himself. Skeptics claim it's nothing more than a shadow of one of the film crew or staff that can't be seen on that angle. Others say that it's impossible for a person to cast that quick-moving shadow without being seen. Whatever the case may be, it makes for some very compelling footage, one that has captured the attention of millions of people. There's not a lot of solid information about these two photos. They often appear in ghost investigation forums, but no one seems to know their origins. The two photos, presumably taken one after the other, show a smoky black entity hovering in the middle of the room. The first photo looks like it has thin, outstretched arms as though it's about to grab at someone. Plumes of a strange, translucent aura seem to waft up towards the roof. The second image looks as though it's caught the moment the shadow is disappearing, almost as though it's been blown by the wind and is vaporizing into nothing. Could these photos be some kind of glitch, or have they captured something far more sinister? Waverly Hills Sanatorium in Louisville, Kentucky is one of the most notorious asylums in America. Built in 1910, the hospital was used to house patients suffering from tuberculosis during what was considered an outbreak of the White Plague. At the time, there was no known cure for the disease, which was mostly treated with plenty of fresh air and sunshine. However, the Waverly Hills Sanatorium was also tasked with finding more effective measures to fight the infectious disease. Controversial methods were tested, with some patients having their ribs removed and their lungs inflated with makeshift balloons. It's thought that many thousands of patients died at the sanatorium. The death toll grew so high that the facility was forced to build an underground tunnel, affectionately known as the Death Chute, that would be used to ferry hundreds of diseased corpses to a nearby railway station. Some estimate that as many as 64,000 patients died at Waverly Hills over the years. Visitors today often report the echoed calls of children singing down the long abandoned hallways. Cold spots are often experienced, and an ominous feeling of being watched is ever present. This photo was taken by an intrepid explorer who decided to visit the hospital alone. He said that nothing particularly unusual took place while he walked around the facility. However, when he reviewed his photos later that night, he noticed something very strange. In one image, a black entity can be seen obscuring the lens of the camera. It lacks definition and is devoid of any light whatsoever. It looks like it has a head and body and is perhaps moving away from the camera. The man is certain that no one else was around as he was exploring the old hospital alone. The owner of this home kept telling her kids that she was seeing a strange shadow person out the corner of her eyes. She said she always felt uncomfortable in certain rooms and thought she was being watched by some unseen force. Her kids would often laugh it off, telling her that she's going mad. That was until this creepy photo was taken on Thanksgiving Day some years ago. Prior to lunch being served, the daughter was taking photos of her boyfriend sitting at the table. This is what she captured. It shows a very tall, dark entity dominating the hallway. The edges of the figure look smoky and translucent, while the center appears to be devoid of all light. When the mother saw the photograph, she almost cried. She said that's the exact spirit she keeps seeing out the corner of her eye. What do you think this is? Is this house haunted by some unseen force or shadow spirit that's making itself known to this poor family? The Hat Man is one of the most creepy and pernicious sightings of the shadow people. A tall, slender male presence is often reported by people all around the world. They say a shadowy figure watches them sleep, and it always has a wide-brimmed hat on. Thousands of individual sightings have been described by people from all walks of life, yet somehow they all characterize the same figure. This photo was captured by a woman who was dozing in her bed in 2017. She was listening to a podcast and felt herself drifting off to sleep. Suddenly, she felt a dark, ominous presence in the room and glanced over to the window. She claims that a tall figure with a hat was standing by her bed, watching intently. She grabbed her phone and took a quick photo, but realized there was no one else in the room. When she looked at the photo, she couldn't believe what she saw. Indeed, there was a solid black entity standing in the room, wearing what looked like a top hat. There are several scientific explanations for shadow people sightings. People who suffer from sleep paralysis often report being watched by shadow beings. They say dark entities enter the room and watch them sleep. Some neuroscientists suggest that these conditions cause the sufferer to wake in a heightened emotional state, which can cause mild hallucination, in this case moving shadows. The most striking aspect about this phenomenon is that the reports are all so congruent. They all describe almost the exact same thing, a dark, ominous figure that likes to watch people sleep. The Hat Man is the most troubling of all because it's such an oddly specific sighting. How is it that thousands of people all around the world all characterize the Hat Man exactly the same? The Queen Mary is reported to be one of the most haunted ships in America. Guests and tourists often claim they see and hear things they can't quite explain. The ship even runs its own ghost tours on board, showing paranormal enthusiasts parts of the vessel that are normally off limits to regular visitors. Legends say that one of the staterooms of the ship is haunted by a man who was allegedly murdered there, while staff and crew have given first-person accounts of a little girl who stalks the long hallways of the ship. They say the girl tragically drowned in the A-class passenger swimming pool back when the ship served as a luxury liner. This photo was taken on board the Queen Mary sometime in 2008. It shows a robust, shadowy figure that resembles the infamous Hat Man that we just talked about. Again, the center of the entity is devoid of light and the edges are like vapor. Many consider this photo one of the best pieces of evidence that the Queen Mary is indeed haunted. This photo was posted to a ghost investigation forum with a chilling story attached. Late one night, Michelle was up cleaning her fish tank when she noticed someone standing in the other room. At first she thought it was her husband and simply dismissed it, saying, "What's the matter, dear? Can't sleep?" When she turned and looked at the person standing in the next room, she went completely cold and nearly fainted. Standing in the room was the clear outline of her ex-husband who had died of cancer several years earlier. Michelle panicked and closed her eyes. When she opened them again, the spirit had gone. In a fit of panic, she ran upstairs and told her husband what had happened, but he assured her that it was nothing to worry about. Several weeks later, Michelle's in-laws were visiting, so she decided to take some photos. When she reviewed the photos later that night, she went numb at what she saw. In the photo, behind her mother-in-law was a shadowy figure lurking in the corner of the room. It was exactly like the figure she saw just weeks earlier. Did Michelle capture the shadow form of her ex-husband? Love to hear your thoughts in the comments section below.
Well, that's the end of the episode. Thank you so much for watching. Now remember to follow us on all our other socials. The links are just below me here. Remember to turn on channel notifications here on YouTube as well so you don't miss our freshest content. And that's it for me. I'll see you all next time. Pew! From a man that teleports out of the way of a speeding train to a mysterious scientist that appears in front of a moving truck. Join us as we take a look at 6 teleportations caught on film.
Let's get straight into it with his bizarre appearance in Penza, Russia. This clip shows 2 men and a cameraman discussing something on a street when out of nowhere a man on a bicycle appears and rides away. Slowing it down, there's no possible way the man and his bike were hiding behind the guy in the foreground. Is this a glitch in the footage, or has this old man appeared from somewhere else entirely? This clip, taken in an unknown location, began doing the internet rounds in late 2015. It's some dashcam footage that shows a four-wheel drive changing lanes. As it merges into the right-hand lane, a man appears out of nowhere. He tumbles onto the road and disappears out of shot. Many have noted that it's possible the man was riding on the bonnet of the four-wheel drive before he fell. This is a plausible explanation as we can't actually see the front of the car, but why would anyone do that? Or could it be that this man has teleported from another place in time and space? This is a very old clip that first aired on TV back in the 90s. It captivated audiences, leaving them wondering whether the police filmed a real ghost car. The dashcam footage shows a police car in pursuit of a runaway driver. The suspect is driving erratically all over the road when his final turn leaves police baffled. Many have offered explanations for this footage. Some say the car flew through the chain link with enough force to slide under the loosely attached fence. Others have noted that there's a gap to the right of the fence that the car may have just driven through. Then there's the paranormal explanations: ghost car, aliens, teleportation. Whatever the case may be, it's some amazing footage that has raised eyebrows for decades. We featured this dashcam footage a few weeks ago, but we thought it was so amazing we had to take another look. It shows a semi-trailer swerve across the road, nearly hitting oncoming traffic. Inexplicably, a man in a lab coat appears alongside the truck. It's as though he's teleported out of nowhere, forcing the truck to take evasive action. The man then wanders dazed and confused to the other side of the road. What do you think? Is this just really clever editing, or a glimpse at a genuine teleportation? This is some security footage taken on December 20, 2015. It shows a man riding a motorbike up a road. As he approaches the hill, his bike stops seconds before a train speeds by. You can clearly see him struggle with his bike right as the train hits. Then, not even a second later, he reappears running down the hill. Where did his bike go, and how did he get back on this side of the train tracks? Is this some kind of anomaly with the footage, or has this man blinked himself to safety? This security camera has captured something quite alarming. Taken in an unknown location, it shows a hooded figure walk straight through a door into a shop front. The lights flicker inside the store, then the man walks back through the locked doors and out of sight. If you look closely, the timestamp on the security footage flickers between 2016 and 2019. What do you think? Elaborate hoax, or proof that this teleporting time traveller just wanted a quick bite to eat?
Follow us on Twitter @SlappedHam to see outtakes just like this. From a Spanish YouTuber who made it massive trolling people on YouTube. Join us as we take a look at the top 10 most subscribed channels, top 10 most subscribed YouTube channels as of 2016. The top 10 most subscribed YouTube channels as of Dillybop. From a Spanish YouTuber who made it massive trolling people on chat roulette. Pew! And anywhere. Pew! 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 There's links everywhere if you want to check them out. And that'll probably do. Toodles! Oh, truth. Well, that's it for another episode. Thank you so much for watching. If you're new to the channel, remember to hit that big old red subscribe button because we have videos coming out just like this every Monday and Thursday. And that's it for me. I'll see you all next time. Pew! How you doing? I'm Callan and this is Slapped Ham. Today we're talking about some truly terrifying fictional monsters. And to help us out with this list, we've teamed up with Crypt TV. They're an awesome production company that create high-quality scary films for their YouTube channel. They release videos every Tuesday, Thursday and Friday. I highly recommend you check them out. We'll have more about their channel a little later in this video, but without further ado, let's get into this list.
The Thing in the Apartment is a scary short film written and directed by John William Ross for Crypt TV. The story begins with an abrupt phone call from a girl, Lindsay, who claims something visited her in her apartment. She says that a creature appeared out of nowhere right in her room. Her friend Sam must rescue her and confront the thing that's lurking in her apartment. A key plot device used in this film is Lindsay's use of sleeping pills. It makes both Sam and the viewer question whether the monster is real, smudging the lines of reality. This makes for some great tension and jump scares as the true nature of the thing in the apartment unfolds. This is a riveting short film that'll have you questioning every little creak and bump you hear in your dark, empty house. Kinderfanger is a Pied Piper-esque tale about a monster that recruits children to do his bidding. The story begins with a young deaf girl and her family who are searching for their missing brother and son. They search a remote mountainous area hoping to find clues. Soon the young girl wanders off to explore a dark cavernous underpass. Here she happens upon the Kinderfanger performing a ritual, entrancing a number of children including her brother. The Kinderfanger is a black skeletal figure that floats about in a puff of smoke. It uses a pipe to play music that spellbinds the children. Our protagonist, however, is immune to the musical curse and moves in to help save her brother. If you're looking for something spooky to watch, then this short film is hard to pass up. It's a fresh take on an old tale seething with mystery and adventure. Oh, and the twist at the end is a real killer. Mordio is an experimental ultra-short film that raises more questions than it cares to answer. The clip begins with a cannibal deep in the woods feasting on the organs of another man. His meal is interrupted by the sound of a twig snapping behind him. He turns to see a scary monster watching him from afar. Bizarrely, the corpse on the ground begins to talk. He speaks of an entity known as Mordio, a strange creature that claims ownership of anyone that eats flesh in the enchanted woods. The cannibal begins to transform into a grotesque monster with antlers. He howls and feasts on the corpse, preparing for something known as the blood hunt. This doozy of a short film will leave you confused and on edge, something all great horror movies should do. I would suggest perhaps watching this one with a friend. One Please is a quirky arthouse style short film that introduces a truly chilling new monster, the Ice Cream Man. This unnerving 5-minute story depicts life in a dystopian suburban town. On the surface, everything appears normal. The sun is shining, mum's making dinner, dad's reading the paper. However, when you notice that some people are missing fingers, questions start getting raised. Suddenly, when a mysterious ice cream truck visits the town, things get even stranger. It would appear to get an ice cream you need to pay with more than just money. And we'll leave this one here as I don't want to ruin the shocking twist this little gem has to offer. I highly recommend watching this one all alone at 2 AM in a very dark room. The Sunny Family Cult is a series of short films produced by Crypt TV. They follow protagonist Taylor, the young daughter of a leader of an infamous sect known as the Sunny Family Cult. The cult, known for their unsettling masks, are hell-bent on disrupting the banality of suburban life. They've taken it upon themselves to outlay their own brand of justice on society, which means they'll murder pretty much anyone that's not part of their group. The most interesting thread in this series is the impact cult life has on Taylor. She grows increasingly violent as she strives to impress her murderous father, who has forcefully impressed this strange way of life on her. However, her character begins to question the seemingly random acts of violence and secretly yearns for a different way of life. The Sunny Family Cult is a strange and twisted ride. It's a brutal tale that hits a chilling vein when you think about some of the bloodshed caused by real cults throughout history. It just goes to show you don't need to be inhuman to be a monster. Mirror takes a disconcerting look at narcissism and what it means to be self-obsessed in a digital world. The plot follows a young, self-absorbed girl who would rather take selfies than spend some time with her boyfriend. After a few posts to social media, things take a dark turn. As the girl preens herself in front of the mirror, her skin begins to change. It grows pale and a strange wound appears on her forehead. Suddenly, her reflection reaches out and pulls her into a dark mirror world. It's from here that the girl can see out into the real world. In her place is a mutilated, corpse-like monster that mimics putting on lipstick. The girl's boyfriend reacts to the noise and comes to see what's happened. From here, the creepy monster sets a trap that leads to a terrifying ending. Next time you're doing your hair in the mirror, think of this little gem and what it would be like being pulled into an alternate universe by a hacked-up corpse demon. If you yourself cannot release, then it will come to take a piece, is the chilling calling card of the Look-See, a scary monster dreamt up in the dark offices of Crypt TV. Written and directed by Landon Starmer, The Look-See is a terrifying series of short films about letting go. This eerie, well-dressed creature seems to feed on those who are dwelling on something, whether it's the loss of a loved one, obsessing over another person, or the raw memories of an ex-husband. Whatever it is, The Look-See thrives on it. The pacing and editing are what stand out with these movies. They capitalize on the fear of the unknown, taking every opportunity to spring a jump scare on the viewer whenever they can. The quick cuts and edgy sound design make for a delightfully unsettling experience. Make sure you check under your bed before watching this one. This is a very creepy short film that's best watched late at night. The Birch is a Webby Award-winning short film from Crypt TV and Bloody Cuts. It's about a bullied boy who resorts to an ancient ritual to defend himself. The result is a monster that blurs the lines between protection and danger. The tension starts high as the first shot of the film shows an unnerving, blood-covered boy with a knife. This shocking opener sets the tone for the entire film, which never quite lets you get comfortable. The Birch is an ancient being that fiercely protects the family it's loyal to. It has a violent propensity for bloodlust and will stop at nothing to satisfy its conjurer. Co-written and directed by Ben Franklin and Anthony Melton, The Birch has been seen by millions of viewers. When it was first uploaded to YouTube in mid-2017, audiences couldn't get enough of this terrifying creature. The character modelling is first class. The special effects makeup and character creation were brought to life by Cliff Wallace, best known for his work on Hellboy 2 and 28 Days Later. The editing and sound design are fantastic too. A series of mixed vignettes lead to the climax of the film that is strangely satisfying yet completely unnerving at the same time. The hellish facial expression of the monster right at the end is bound to stay with you for a while.
Now I want to give a huge shout out to Crypt TV for helping out with this list. As I mentioned at the start of the video, they produce high quality scary content each and every week. They release videos on Tuesdays, Thursdays and Fridays. I highly recommend you jump on over and check out their channel. There's some links in the description box below and a link should appear right here. Head on over, show them some love, subscribe if you like what you see as well. Oh, and one more thing I should mention, the hell was that? From a photo of a mysterious object orbiting Earth to a picture of a star system that looks like the Eye of Sauron. Join us as we take a look at 10 mysterious photos taken in space.
In 1998, a series of photographs taken by NASA revealed something unusual in Earth's orbit. Thought by many to be a satellite of extraterrestrial origin, some believe this mysterious object may have been orbiting Earth for more than 13,000 years. Some think that radio waves heard by Nikola Tesla in an 1899 experiment may have been emitted by this alien satellite. Others believe that the mysterious object is nothing more than a thermal blanket reported lost during a spacewalk conducted by US astronauts Jerry Ross and James Newman. This image of the Crab Nebula was assembled from 24 individual exposures taken from the Hubble Space Telescope in 1999 and 2000. The Crab Nebula is the remnant of a giant star that ended in a supernova explosion nearly 1,000 years ago. The supernova was so bright that it was seen and recorded by Chinese astronomers in the year 1054, making it the first astronomical object identified with a historical supernova explosion. The Crab Nebula cannot be seen with the naked eye but can be made out using binoculars in good conditions. The nebula gets its name from the 3rd Earl of Ross, William Parsons, who, in 1840, observed the object through a telescope and produced a drawing that many thought looked like a crab. An image taken on Mars by NASA in 2015 had many believing it was proof of life on the red planet. A close-up of the side of the rock wall revealed a shape that some think resembles a crab-like creature. Despite the initial internet buzz, a senior astronomer at the Center for SETI Research said the space crab was something else entirely. He believed it could be explained with a phenomenon known as pareidolia. Pareidolia is the brain's ability to see shapes in random objects, like a face in the moon or a dog in the clouds. The object does, however, look out of place in the harsh, rocky landscape. What do you think, alien creature or just our brains playing tricks on us? Let us know in the comments section below. Fomalhaut is one of the most visible stars in the night sky and the brightest star in the constellation of Pisces Austrinus. The star and its surrounding system bear an eerie resemblance to the Eye of Sauron from the Lord of the Rings films. Within this system is an extrasolar object thought to be a planet known as Fomalhaut b or Dagon. This planet has a very unusual, highly elliptical orbit. It has an orbit of nearly 2,000 years, coming as close as 4.6 billion miles to its star, and at its outermost point 27 billion miles away from its star. Scientists believe that this strange orbit may be a result of a yet undiscovered planet that gravitationally ejected Fomalhaut b from a more circular orbit at some point in time. The unusual orbit takes Fomalhaut b through the system's outer dust ring, where it spends around 1,000 years in deep freeze before returning into the system. Scientists also believe that the reason this planet is unusually bright is that as it returns through the system's outer dust ring, any satellites orbiting the planet would suffer great impact from surrounding objects, creating a dust cloud that reflects starlight similar to the ring of Saturn. When the Viking 1 spacecraft took a series of images of the surface of Mars, one in particular caught the eye of astronomers. The photo, which was released by NASA in 1976, is of an area known as Cydonia, and it seems to show a large humanoid face carved into the mesa. While experts dismiss the image as an illusion of light and poor photo quality, many have argued that this image proves there was life on Mars at some point in time. Many successful spacecraft have photographed the area with gradually improving resolution, leading NASA to state that a detailed analysis of multiple images of this feature reveals a natural-looking Martian hill, whose illusory face-like appearance depends on the viewing angle and angle of illumination. What do you think? A face or just our peepers playing tricks on us? Let us know in the comment section below. This image, taken from the Hubble Space Telescope in 2002, shows an outburst from the star V838 Monocerotis. Originally it was thought to be a typical nova eruption, a process that occurs when hydrogen is pulled from one star's surface onto another star, resulting in a nuclear explosion. It turned out that what scientists were witnessing was something completely different altogether. Several theories have since been put forward, including the possibility that it was merging with another star or planets. Whatever the process, V838 Monocerotis briefly became one of the largest known stars and one of the most luminous in the Milky Way galaxy. Check out this amazing time-lapse of V838 Monocerotis taken from the Hubble Space Telescope's YouTube channel. A photo taken by NASA's Curiosity rover on May 7, 2015 had some believing that we had just discovered pyramids on Mars. Despite some initial confusion about the scale of the photo, the pyramid-shaped object is believed by experts to be only about the height of a soda can, just a small volcanic rock that has eroded over time into a sharp angle. In 1972, the crew of Apollo 17 took a series of photos on the moon. This picture was originally catalogued by NASA as sunstruck, but with the contrast adjusted, it appears to show a pyramid-like structure in the background. Apollo 17 was the sixth and most recent manned moon landing and the final mission of the Apollo lunar landing program. Could this photo be evidence that there are pyramids on the moon similar to those of Egypt? This photo was captured in 2004 by Spirit, NASA's Mars Explorer vehicle. Taken in close proximity to the vehicle's landing location, it seems to show some sort of humanoid figure making its way across the rocky terrain. When the picture was first released, the internet ran rife with speculation. Everything from an ancient bronze statue to some sort of extraterrestrial Bigfoot was considered. Skeptics dismissed the claims, pointing out that the object could only be a few inches high as it's within meters of the vehicle. What do you think? Unusual rock or mysterious creature traversing the landscape? This amazing image is a composite of several images created by the Hubble Heritage team. It is of a nebula 8,000 light years from Earth known as Menzel 3. Menzel 3, located in the Norma constellation, bears a striking resemblance to a gigantic interstellar ant. Sometimes referred to as the Ant Nebula, its structure is somewhat of a mystery, with some researchers believing that the fiery protrusions may be caused by strong magnetic fields emitted by the dying star. Another theory is that its center may consist of two stars orbiting around a common point, with the possibility that the dying star may have expanded so much it has consumed its companion, which may be still orbiting inside it.
Well, hey, that's it for another episode. Now, some of you are saying you're not getting our latest uploads in your content feed. The best way to combat that is next to the subscribe button, there's a little bell icon. Click that, and that'll make sure you get the freshest, slappiest ham in your push notifications and email every time we upload. And that's it for me. I'll see you all next time. Pew! How you doing? I'm Callan and this is Slapped Ham. Today we're talking about some really creepy photos. From the spirit of a hiker seen standing on a cliff face to a mysterious cult spotted surrounding a car. Join us as we take a look at 10 real eerie photos that have left authorities baffled. And before we get into it, remember to hit that subscribe button to see more creepy content just like this.
Reddit user Sliced Up Beef posted this photo asking the community to clarify what exactly he captured on camera. The poster claims he was hiking around Dundas Peak, a scenic spot that overlooks Hamilton, Ontario in Canada. His cousin suggested he go check out the views and take a snap at a popular spot where the cliffs reach out over the ravine. When he reviewed his photos for the day, he couldn't quite fathom what he had captured. In the photo, there appears to be a person wearing a white top and dark pants, standing eerily straight on a remote cliffside. The user noted that the area was extremely dangerous and inaccessible from all sides. He was simply baffled how a person could get out there. Comments on the Reddit thread noted that the area is known for some nasty accidents. They thought it was perhaps the spirit of someone who had tragically died there. It's alleged that hikers go missing at a rate of 1 per year around Dundas Peak. Although the photo has been shared thousands of times around social media, no one has been able to definitively explain the mysterious person in this photo. In 2015, tourist Chris Aitchison took this hair-raising photo at Tantallon Castle, Scotland. The mysterious figure was caught peering out of one of the upper windows of the castle. Many experts have speculated that it's a woman wearing Elizabethan period attire, complete with collared ruff. Aitchison was so curious about what he had captured on film that he contacted the castle's management and asked if there were any reenactments that day. Castle staff informed him there was no such reenactment that day, and in fact, they don't even feature costumed guides that fit the look of the person that was captured on film. Some scholars have suggested that it could be the spirit of King James V of Scotland, who owned the castle in the 16th century. Some skeptics have noted, however, that it may be just a trick of the light. If you look at the angle of the light coming in the stairwell to the top left, it could be illuminating the rear stonework, giving the appearance of a face and clothes. Further still, that area of the castle is open to the public, so it could be simply another curious tourist wandering the premises. All things considered, this is still a strange photo for the ages. Despite the various possible explanations, a lot of experts are gobsmacked at what's been captured. Could Aitchison's camera have caught the ghost of an ancient resident going about their day as though they've not passed away? Or is it simply a case of pareidolia? This real photo was taken during a football match on October 3, 2013. The crowd at Dragon Stadium in Porto, Portugal went wild when James Rodriguez scored a huge goal for the local side. As photographers took rapid snaps of the Colombian celebrating his goal, they inadvertently captured something very unsettling. In the grandstand, among thousands of cheering fans, there appears to be a black skeletal figure wearing a white shirt. It has deep sunken eyes, a grey face and black hair. The lower half of the entity doesn't seem to exist. Just below Rodriguez's arm, there's a strange misty quality. Whatever the figure is, it seems to be just floating in mid-air. It's as though the boy to the left has no idea what's happening. Dozens of news outlets ran with the story, and soon this creepy image was the talk of the internet. Theories ran from ghosts and spirits to a glitch on the camera, and one even suggested it was a glimpse into an alternate universe. What do you think this skeleton in the grandstand could be? Let us know your thoughts in the comments section below. Sticking with the world game, a strange photo surfaced in 2016 showing an eerie figure sitting on the sidelines of this Premier League match. Twitter user @TonyOdo1 posted this photo with the caption, "Who's the ball boy with no face?" Speculation ran rife as the mysterious photo spread around the internet. Viewers were shocked at the eerie faceless boy spotted live in clear sight during Monday Night Football. The chilling incident was captured when Johan Berg Gudmundsson took a corner kick during the match. Spectators were stunned at what was being shown live on TV. The footage was shown in real time, making it impossible for the image to be tampered with in any way. Experts are stumped by the footage and can't explain what's being captured. This chilling image was submitted to Reddit by user 0A Russell. They said a friend of theirs was taking photos with their kid when one of the images showed a horrifying face in the background. Right in the middle of the curtain, there appears to be an old woman's face peering straight at the camera. It's grey and wrinkly and has a really unsettling quality to it. The face seems to split perfectly with the crack in the curtain, which could mean the face is actually printed on the fabric. But why on earth would anyone want curtains with an eerie old lady's face on them? The Reddit user said that the homeowner thought that an old lady had died in the house many years ago. Could this be her way of contacting the present owners? Or is it simply a print on the curtains? Love to hear your thoughts in the comments section below. Here's another mysterious real photo that was posted to Reddit. User Tony12684 said that his uncle took this photo many years ago while driving through New Mexico. In the distance he noticed a wildfire and wanted to get some photos. He pulled over and began photographing the scene. At the time there was nothing unusual of note except for the plumes of smoke in the background. Several weeks later, when he got the photos developed, he was shocked at what he saw. Right in the foreground is a mysterious lady in blue. The uncle insisted that no one else was around when he took the photos. The lady has sunken black eyes and a strange dark complexion. Her nose appears skeletal and her jaw looks gaunt and detached. There's a shadow quality to her features that makes this photo really eerie to look at. Her thin, outstretched arm ends in a stump with no fingers. The exact date this photo was taken is unknown, but it's obviously printed from film. It's possible then that this could be a malfunction which has blended two images together. Yet the unsettling features of the woman in blue remain. Who is she and why has she appeared in this photo? There's not a lot of information available for this photo. It was posted to a forum by someone with the handle Wookiee Rage. They said they were walking through the woods one day with their brother taking photos. As they were walking, they noticed a tree with an interesting hollow in the trunk. They took a snap and continued on, thinking nothing of it. Later that night, the budding photographers got the fright of their lives when they examined one of their photos. If you look to the rear of the hollow, lurking in the shadows, there are two claw-like hands pressed on the ground. They're thin and sharp looking, but clearly look to be human. Could this be some kind of unknown humanoid creature hiding in the darkness? Or perhaps it's a homeless person that's taken refuge in the tree and doesn't want to be found. This sinister photo was allegedly taken in a rural area of Bulgaria in the late 70s. At that time, there was a mysterious cult known to operate in the area. There's not a lot of solid details about this photo, but there is one chilling story that follows the image all over the internet. The story goes that a young photographer and his daughter were driving through a remote part of Bulgaria when their car broke down. It was early evening and the area was all but dark except for a small light coming from a farmhouse in the distance. The father told his daughter to stay with the car while he walked to the distant cottage to get some help. Half an hour later, while walking back to the car, the father stopped dead in his tracks. In the distance, he could see a circle of people surrounding his car. They were all dressed in black robes and had hoods draped over their faces. They were holding their arms out wide as if presiding over the car and the young girl inside. The father quickly took this photo for evidence and began running as fast as he could to the car. No one knows exactly what happened after that moment. Some locals claim police found the car burnt out in the middle of a field, with no other evidence except for this photo found on a camera discovered in the woods nearby. This terrifying photo was sent to us by a viewer called Citrus Lemon. The story goes that when they were young, they were playing a modified game of hide and seek with their new camera phones. The rules were simple enough: find a spot to hide in a dark room and one person would take a photo with a flash, then see if they could spot anyone hiding in the photo. They played several rounds and all was normal. People would hide, the flash would go off. Then one round, the person with the phone let out a horrible scream after they took the photo. Quickly the lights came on and everyone gathered around. The person who had taken the photo was noticeably shaken and had tears welling up in their eyes. When everyone looked at the phone, this was the image on the screen. Everyone stood around shocked at what they saw. In the photo, a thin boy can be seen crawling eerily through the doorway. He's in a bizarre upside down posture with his head tilted backwards. The most chilling part of all, there was absolutely no one playing the game that day that looks anything like the boy in the photo. Citrus Lemon said they don't like looking at the photo. It's the first time they've seen it in years and it still makes their stomach churn. To this day, they have no explanation for this image. Before we get to the number one spot and find out what's lurking in this old military bunker, remember to hit subscribe and turn on channel notifications. That way you'll be up to date with all our latest creepy content. Fort Worden in Washington State, United States has been a ghostly hotspot for paranormal investigators for years. Its rich military history has many ghastly tales dating back to the late 19th century. Built in 1889, the base began as a humble outpost for soldiers posted on Artillery Hill. It grew to become a significant anti-aircraft station with many cement bunkers built into the mountainside. Historians say that an officer accidentally killed himself while cleaning his pistol at Fort Worden. Now there are reports of an aggressive force that prowls the area, furious that he died from such a foolish accident. Paranormal investigators believe that if a person dies in an accident, there is a higher chance their spirit will linger in the area. Tourists have reported loud banging coming from the old cement bunkers, the rooms are often unusually cold, and fits of nausea have been known to set in. This photo was taken when several boys decided to explore the old military installation. They were walking around taking photographs, looking for anything interesting in the old bunkers. They claimed they were alone the whole time and didn't notice anything particularly unusual. However, when they reviewed their photos the next day, their blood ran cold. If you look at the top left-hand corner of one of the images, there is a strange figure lurking on top of one of the cement rooms. Its face is red, almost burnt looking. It seems to be lying there in the darkness, hiding, or worse, waiting for the right time to attack the unsuspecting boys. Is this some kind of ghoul that lives deep in the network of this military installation? Note the strange orbs of light too. There is as many as 6 glowing balls of light hovering about the dark hallway. The strange thing is, there are a few before and after photos and there is no figure lurking in that spot. Could this then be a glimpse of the spirit of the angry officer who accidentally took his own life all those years ago?
Fresh pandalonis, please. I seem to have soiled myself. Well, they were some super creepy photos. Thank you so much for watching. If you're enjoying our content, hit that upward facing thumb, subscribe if you're new, or leave us a comment down below. We love reading them. And that's it for me. I'll see you all next time. Pew!
Slap
7 eerie abandoned places you have to see. From an abandoned sugar factory to a replicated Paris, join us as we take a look at 7 eerie abandoned places you just have to see. Chengdu City, China. While technically not an abandoned city, Chengdu in China has very few inhabitants. Architecturally modelled off Paris, this gated community seems like a ghost town in comparison to the real Paris, France. Construction began in 2007 with the intent to lure settlers out of the countryside with the promise of a little European romance. While few countrysiders seem to have been persuaded, only time will tell if the Chinese take to this unusual French oasis. The Domino Sugar Refinery. This hauntingly beautiful building is the abandoned Domino Sugar Factory in Williamsburg, Brooklyn. After operations ceased in 2004, this mighty complex was left to decay, creating an eerie backdrop against the East River. This refinery, looking like a fortress from some end-of-the-world movie, has recently received the go-ahead to be turned into residential housing. Miranda Castle, Belgium. Miranda Castle was built in 1866 by an English architect under the commission from the Liederkirk Beaufort family. The family's descendants remained in the castle until World War II, when it was taken over and converted into an orphanage. It remained an orphanage until 1980, after which it fell into disrepair. As the cost to maintain the property was far too high, no investors have come forward, so this creepy old orphanage remains completely abandoned even today. Hashima Island, Nagasaki, Japan. Hashima Island served as a coal mining facility from 1887 to 1974. Known as Battleship Island due to its likeness of a Japanese battleship upon the seas, this eerie abandoned place was once home to more than 5,250 inhabitants. The island is covered with eroding high-rise block-style apartments and a large seawall around the perimeter. Hashima Island served as inspiration for the hideout of Bond villain Raoul Silva in Skyfall. No actual filming took place on the island, however, as a large set was built in Pinewood Studios, England. The Mir Mine. Located in eastern Siberia, Russia, the Mir Mine is the second largest excavated hole in the world. At 525 meters deep, it's also the 4th deepest. When diamonds were discovered in the area in 1955, construction began shortly after on this gigantic open-air mine and outlying buildings. After the collapse of the Soviet Union, in 1991 the Saka Diamond Company took over operations, reporting annual profits in excess of $600 million from diamond sales. Eventually this huge mine was closed completely in 2011. The SS America, Fuerteventura, Canary Islands. The SS America was built in 1940 for the United States Lines. During its career, it saw many roles, including a troop transport and passenger liner. During a tow in 1993, the deteriorating vessel ran aground in Fuerteventura in the Canary Islands. It has stayed there until this day, slowly eroding in the pounding surf. The wreck is now only visible in low tide. Pripyat, Ukraine. Founded in 1947, Pripyat once had a population of more than 49,000 people. It was evacuated shortly after the Chernobyl disaster in 1986. Totally abandoned for many years, Pripyat and the outlying areas are now surrounded by military guards and police. Since 2005, it is possible to take guided tours of the town as radiation levels have dramatically fallen and are now considered to be within a safe level. Recently, Pripyat has served as inspiration for several levels on the popular Call of Duty video game series. In the 2013 film A Good Day to Die Hard, part of the story is based in and around the city. An entire deserted town is truly worthy of our #1 spot for eeriest abandoned places. Well, hey, I sure would love to visit some of these places in person. As always, thanks heaps for watching. If you're enjoying the content, hit that thumbs up button. If you're new to our channel, why not hit subscribe? We have new content coming out each and every week. And this is the Slapper Shining Wolf.
How you doing? I'm Callan and this is Slapped Ham. Today we're looking at some chilling paranormal footage. From spirits haunting the halls of old hospitals to a ghost train caught in Russia. Join us as we take a look at 10 terrifying ghost sightings caught on camera.
This is some chilling footage captured in an old hospital in Honduras. While visiting the teaching hospital at night, a student heard some strange noises and decided to start filming. In the clip, we see a dimly lit corridor with several stretcher beds lined along the walls. Out of one of the doors, a disembodied head suddenly appears. It looks at the camera for a second, then retracts behind the door. It appears again and begins to lurch down the hallway with a strange limp. The student, who must be terrified, retreats into a darkened room. Reports say that the hospital is haunted by a doctor who took his life many years ago. Students and visitors often give accounts of strange shadows, flickering lights, and an eerie feeling of always being watched. Could this be the spirit of the doctor who tragically committed suicide all those years ago? This strange clip was uploaded to YouTube in 2013. It's allegedly taken from a security camera in the Russian metro station Poletsevskaya. In the footage, we see a transparent train pull up to the platform during what looks like a fairly busy period. You can see passengers walking on the platform on the far right, however they don't seem to take any notice of the ghostly train. The translucent locomotive seems to let off several shadowy figures before taking off down the rail line. What could this be, a clever editing job or a ghostly imprint of a train from years gone by? Here's some CCTV footage taken in an unknown grocery store. It shows a shopping trolley eerily wheel across the room. At first it's easy to think that someone has pushed it off camera, but then it turns and wheels up a ramp all on its own. Could this be an elaborate setup with strings pulling the shopping cart? What do you think? Let us know in the comments section below. This is some really creepy footage that started spreading around the internet in 2015. The clip was filmed by two guys looking out the window of their apartment. They started filming when they noticed a strange figure walking through the graveyard adjacent to their apartment block. In the footage, we see what appears to be a lady dressed in white. She walks eerily from tombstone to tombstone, touching her head against the graves. The two men try and get her attention by yelling out, but she takes no notice. At one point, she takes a flower from one of the graves, smells it, then walks somberly through the yard. She even begins skipping and dancing on one tombstone to the next, completely oblivious to the world around her. Finally, she walks behind a large gravestone monument and disappears completely, never to be seen again. The two men continue filming for some time, but fail to spot the eerie lady ever again. This footage was captured by paranormal investigators after they were called to search a suspected haunted house. This house, located in Rowlands Gill, England, is notoriously haunted and known by local residents as a paranormal hotbed. Paranormal investigator Terry Johnson was asked to perform a study on the house to see if they could find any evidence of a haunting. Terry and his crew set up several cameras around the house, and at around 10:20 p.m. on the Sunday night, they asked for the spirits to reveal themselves. Moments later, a chair moved on its own right in front of the camera. If you take a look at the footage, you can see some strange lights and all-black objects floating around the room. Then suddenly the chair moves. After being interviewed by the Newcastle Chronicle, Terry said he was gobsmacked by what they had captured on film. Since then, the footage has been spread around the internet, causing a lot of discussion on social media. Many find the footage a little too convenient, calling it a hoax, while others believe it to be genuine evidence of the existence of ghosts and an afterlife. This is some security footage taken in an unknown hospital. It appears to show the moment a spirit lifts up from a body. Reports claim that this is the exact moment the person lying in the bed passed away. As you can see, some kind of vapour seems to lift up from the body and drift down the hallway. It's hard to make further comment on this video as there's next to no information available. The location is unknown and no medical staff or security staff have come forward to verify the footage. While the origins of the footage are unclear, it's hard to deny the startling nature of the clip. Could this actually be the moment a soul leaves the human body? This is some CCTV footage captured in a hospital in West Bengal in early March 2017. Allegedly, this security camera overlooks the outside area of the morgue. Hundreds of dead bodies pass in and out of this facility every day. In the footage, we see a trolley bed begin to move all on its own. It slides back and forth in an erratic motion. Finally, it falls off the pavement into the garden. The clip then cuts to a second security camera. Here we see an employee filling a bottle up at a water tap. As he approaches the trolley bed, it suddenly shifts backwards as if moved by some unseen force. The employee is clearly startled and heads in the opposite direction. When uploaded to YouTube, this piece of footage caused quite a stir among the paranormal community. Many enthusiasts were quick to analyse the footage, hoping to debunk or explain the footage in some way. Theories sprung up suggesting it's nothing more than string tied to the bed designed as a prank to scare co-workers. Others think the movements are too erratic for string and are simply dumbfounded by the clip, struggling to give it a rational explanation. When this clip went viral in 2016, it caused quite a stir across social media and forums. This security camera captures a hooded man walking down a hallway. What happens next is the stuff of nightmares. It would appear some kind of spirit or demon appears out of nowhere and pushes the man to the ground, then drags him down the hallway. The entity then vanishes as the man runs for his life. Many commentators and paranormal enthusiasts have analysed this footage with little to no solid conclusions. Some say the shadows don't react naturally, raising suspicion of a fake, while others are true believers, saying that this is a real poltergeist attack caught on camera. The man in the footage has never come forward, however, so it's hard to make further comment without his testimony. While on air, Albanian radio show Club FM captured something truly startling during an interview. As the two hosts go about their work, a newspaper inexplicably flies off the table. There's little to no explanation for this event, and it's left the hosts dumbfounded. The footage keeps rolling, and as you can see, everyone is stunned by the bizarre occurrence. It doesn't look like string is attached to the paper in any way, and it doesn't look like a burst of air either. The host even picks up the papers soon after to take a look, as he seems more startled than anyone. If anyone can translate what they're saying in the clip, please let us know, as we'd love to understand their reaction a little more. When this paranormal investigation team searched a heritage-listed English mansion, they couldn't have known the startling footage they would capture. Wentworth Woodhouse is a palatial estate located in Wentworth, South Yorkshire. It's considered the largest privately owned residence in the United Kingdom. Initially built in the 18th century as a centre for political influence, the enormous Jacobean house fell into disrepair in the latter part of the 20th century. Since then, it's been a reported hotbed for paranormal activity. In this clip, we see the paranormal investigation team from the reality TV show Most Haunted searching a stable area of the Wentworth property. After hearing what sounded like footsteps, they ask for the spirits to show themselves. In the distance, you can see what looks like a transparent man walking up the stairs in the opposite direction. The two hosts react and chase the figure down the dark corridor. They quickly look in all the surrounding rooms but find nothing. When the episode aired, host Yvette Fielding described the footage as the most groundbreaking footage we've ever recorded. The Most Haunted crew have been making episodes and chasing ghosts for over 15 years, and this is the most compelling footage they've ever captured. The audience were divided as to what exactly the show had captured on film. Skeptics noted that the ghostly figure looks remarkably like co-host Stuart, as you can see in a tweet from John Donis. Also for me, the two men's reactions seem a little disingenuous, especially if it's the first solid bit of evidence they've captured in 15 years. Others, however, were floored by the footage, hailing it as a turning point in paranormal investigation. What do you think the most haunted team have captured? Is it just a transparent video overlay, or is it genuine evidence of an afterlife? Love to hear your thoughts in the comments below.
Fresh pants please, that was a little bit terrifying. If you want to watch more of our content, there's a playlist right there, or you can subscribe because we do stuff like this each and every week. And that's it for me, I'll see you all next time. Pew! How you doing? I'm Callan and this is Slapped Ham. Today we're talking about weird cases of time travelling. From a time traveller who passes a lie detector test to a man from the future who earned a fortune on the stock market. Join us as we take a look at 10 real cases of time travel that can't be explained.
In February 2018, a man who claimed to be a time traveller underwent a lie detector test on camera. The man, only known as Noah, said he was from the year 2030 and made several predictions for the near future. Among them, he said that Donald Trump would be re-elected for a second term of presidency. In 2028, time travel will be invented and the first humans will visit Mars. He also claimed that Bitcoin will be used as a currency, but that cash money also still exists. Noah also claims to have some sort of futuristic technology implanted in his wrist that is somehow involved in the time travel process. An X-ray confirms that there is in fact some sort of device embedded under the skin, but he refuses to have it surgically removed. Several days after the lie detector test, Noah was reported to mysteriously vanish during a live stream. It was then revealed that he contacted the channel via email, stating that he was briefly taken back to the year 2030 for interrogation, but is now back in our time. In 1932, journalist J. Bernard Hutton, along with photographer Joachim Brandt, was sent to do a story on the Hamburg shipyard for a German newspaper. The pair claimed that shortly after they arrived at the shipyard, bombs started raining down from the sky and they had to scramble to safety. When they emerged, they took several photographs of the devastation before returning to Hamburg. When the pair told their story, no one believed them as there had not been a bombing of any sort. Determined to prove that they were not crazy, they developed the photographs they had taken. To their shock, the photographs showed no signs of an air raid whatsoever. 11 years later, Hutton was living in London when he opened a newspaper and read that an air raid had taken place on the Hamburg shipping yard. The bombing was part of the Allied attack codenamed Operation Gomorrah. To his amazement, the photographs in the newspaper looked just like the ones he thought he and Brandt had taken years earlier. Did the pair slip through some sort of time rip? Had they actually witnessed an event that was yet to occur? In 2016, a mysterious photograph surfaced on Icelandic social media. It showed downtown Reykjavik in 1943 at the height of World War II. In the foreground, a group of American GIs can be seen standing outside a taxi station, as well as a man leaning against a window who appears to be talking on a mobile phone long before they even existed. Originally posted to a Facebook group by Christian Hoffman, it quickly began to attract attention across the internet. The photo was so convincing that many people said it was irrefutable proof that time travel must exist, while others thought that it showed that the mobile phone must have already been invented and in use in Iceland by the 1940s. What do you think? Is this man from the 1940s really using a cell phone? There's been several recorded instances of people seemingly using technology that shouldn't exist at the time. Many believe it to be evidence of time travel. This footage of a woman exiting a DuPont factory was taken in 1928. If you look closely, it appears that she's talking on a mobile phone. This footage was taken from the opening of a Charlie Chaplin film in 1928. As the camera pans in, a lady can be seen walking past chatting on another mobile phone. What do you think? Does this footage really prove that time travel exists? This now famous black and white photo was taken on the day South Fork Bridge reopened in Canada in the early 1940s. Take a look at the man in the middle right of this image. He's wearing a pair of modern sunglasses, a hooded jumper and a logo printed t-shirt. If this is a real time traveller, why has he travelled to the 1940s to witness a bridge reopening in Canada? Now I know some of you are thinking that you've seen this photo a million times before, but wait till the #1 spot where we'll reveal an extra piece of shocking information. This photo was taken after Brazil's triumph over Czechoslovakia in the final of the 1962 FIFA World Cup. The man holding the trophy is Brazilian player Garrincha, who was voted player of the tournament. If you look directly below him, there's a man who appears to be taking a photo of Garrincha using a mobile phone. Could this be evidence of a time traveller who's travelled back in time to witness this historical sporting occasion? In 1901, Anne Moberly and Eleanor Jourdain, two professors from St Hugh's College in Oxford, England, travelled to France to visit the Palace of Versailles. As they were walking around a small chateau within the grounds known as Petit Trianon, the pair claimed that something very strange happened. They said they were suddenly surrounded by people dressed in 1780s period attire, and that Marie Antoinette herself was sitting on a stool in the gardens. Seemingly impossible, as Antoinette, the last Queen of France, was found guilty of high treason and beheaded by guillotine in 1793. The pair then claimed that everyone mysteriously disappeared just as a tour guide approached them. In 1911, the two professors wrote a book titled An Adventure, under the aliases of Elizabeth Morrison and Francis Lamont, that described in detail their bizarre experience. Because of the credibility of the authors and the grounded accounts of which they told their story, it is widely regarded as one of the best pieces of evidence that time slips may actually exist. Did Moberly and Jourdain experience a time slip, or was it some sort of strange hallucination? Let us know what you think could have happened in the comments section below. In 2008, archaeologists opened a sealed tomb in Guangxi, China that supposedly hadn't been disturbed for more than 400 years. Inside the coffin, they discovered a small wristwatch with the time frozen at 10:06. On the back, the word Swiss was engraved. The first wristwatch, however, was not made until the 1800s, which makes the discovery in Guangxi so baffling. Was the watch left behind by a clumsy time traveller, or could it just be an elaborate hoax? In a video published in February 2018, a man by the name of Alexander Smith claims to be a time traveller that's visited the year 2118. In the video, he says that he's actually one of the first people to ever use time travel technology as part of a top-secret CIA mission in 1981. He goes on to say that a group of unnamed people were looking for him and that he was living in hiding. Among other things, Smith claims that by the mid-21st century it's become widely known to the public that intelligent alien life exists. He goes on to say that they've been visiting Earth for a long time and that the government has been keeping it a secret. He also says that while walking around in the year 2118, he came across a statue of a man named Janu Oliver Beck, who he later found out would become President of the United States and is somehow assassinated. At the end of the interview, Smith reaches into his jacket and produces a photo of a city he claims he took while visiting the year 2118. He then mentions that the reason the image is slightly distorted is due to the time travel process. In 2003, a newspaper reported that a man by the name of Andrew Carlson had been arrested on insider trading charges. According to a report by the Security and Exchange Commission, Carlson had turned an initial investment of just $800 into a portfolio worth around $350 million while trading the stock market. All the trades he made were high risk and based on information that he couldn't have known unless he had inside information or was from the future. Carlson was interrogated by the FBI and confessed that he was actually a time traveller from the year 2256. He claimed that his plan was to make several small trades here and there that would go unnoticed, but that he got caught up in the excitement of the situation and ended up making a fortune. The more the FBI pressed him, the more Carlson insisted that he was actually from the future. In an effort to prove his story, Carlson is said to have even told the FBI where Osama bin Laden was hiding, as well as giving them the cure for AIDS. However, the story gets even stranger. In an effort to further prove himself, Carlson offered this photo as proof that he was actually a time traveller. He claimed that he was also witness to the reopening of the South Fork Bridge in Canada in the early 1940s, alongside the mysterious man dressed in modern-day clothes. Carlson pleaded with the authorities to release him so he could return to the year 2256. However, he refused to give up the location of his timecraft for fear of the technology falling into the wrong hands. Shortly after his arrest, a mysterious man posted his bail of $1 million US. He was due to appear in court in April of 2003 but disappeared on the way to the hearing. There was no record of an Andrew Carlson existing prior to December 2002, and he was never seen or heard from ever again.
Well, that's the end of the episode. Thank you so much for watching and travelling into the future with us. If you're enjoying our content, hit that upward facing thumb, subscribe if you're new, or leave us a comment down below. We love reading them all. And that's it for me. I'll see you all next time. Pew!
Slapsham.
10 creepiest YouTube videos ever made. From a man lost in the catacombs of Paris to what it would be like to hear voices inside your head. Join us as we explore the 10 creepiest YouTube videos. This video uses a backing track that was used by the US forces during the Vietnam War. It was part of a propaganda campaign to scare the Viet Cong away from their posts. The theory behind this creepy audio is the Vietnamese belief that if a person dies without a proper burial, their soul is forced to wander aimlessly in pain and suffering. So the US engineers crafted a series of distorted recordings that emulated wandering spirits calling out from the darkness. It was designed to unnerve the enemy and force them to flee their ground. This clip is an audio representation of what it would be like to experience auditory hallucinations. It was designed by a mental health outreach worker based on feedback from clients who were managing schizophrenia, bipolar, and other mental health disorders. For the optimal experience, use headphones. This is what it could be like to have voices inside your head.
Jump! Jump now! Jump in front of the car! Go on! Do it! Do it! No, don't! Don't! You can't. So stupid. Look at you. Stupid.
This short film by Eric Deutschmann was uploaded to YouTube in 2009. It depicts the unravelling of an old lady's psyche over a simple cup of tea. The grainy Super 8 footage is offset by some unnerving piano. It repeats and repeats till it starts to lose its pitch, echoing the old lady's frail state of mind. This short film is well worth a watch in a very dark room at a very dark hour. This video depicts a mock activation of the emergency alert system in the United States. This is what residents of Los Angeles would see on their televisions if a long-range nuclear missile had been detected. It is designed to cut all regular radio and TV broadcasts to alert citizens of an immediate, massive-scale disaster event.
This message is transmitted at the request of the United States Office of Civil Defense. At 3:40 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, NORAD detected a long-range nuclear missile launch in North Korea. This missile is believed to be headed in the direction of the Los Angeles metropolitan area. It is believed that it will impact this area within the next 1.5 to 2 hours. All residents within a 400-mile radius of this area should seek a fallout shelter immediately.
The Paris catacombs are a series of interconnecting tunnels deep under the city that house the remains of an estimated 6 million people. The enormous burial ground was established in the 18th century when Paris faced a twofold problem, one of overflowing cemeteries and cave-ins from haphazard mining centuries earlier. The twisting network of mines was reinforced in the late 1700s and were quickly filled with millions of human remains exhumed from nearby cemeteries. This video was recovered from a camcorder found deep in the Parisian labyrinth. It shows a man exploring the catacombs by himself. He walks further and further into the dark unknown, passing hundreds of skeletal remains. After wandering the maze of tunnels for some time, he becomes noticeably startled as his breath becomes heavier and more panic-stricken. It's as though something is following him as he starts to run wildly from passage to passage. Finally, the camera gets dropped in a puddle, then you can hear the man continue to run off into the darkness. The person who filmed this footage has never been found. This video has been doing the rounds on the internet for a few years now. It depicts a singing android named Tara in a small living room. She sings over and over "I feel fantastic, hey hey hey" to an unnerving backing track.
I feel fantastic, hey hey hey. You feel fantastic, hey hey hey.
No one is certain as to the origins of this clip. There are, however, many conspiracy theories that say the android was made by a serial killer. At 1 minute 47, the video cuts to an outside shot of a backyard, leading many to speculate that this is where he buried his victims. Some say he dressed the android in the clothes of the last person he murdered. It's thought that the android sings "I feel fantastic" because that's what the murderer wanted his victims to say as they were being killed. Creepier still, halfway through the song, the verse changes to "Please leave, run, run, run." The video is often linked to a man named John Bergeron and a website called AndroidWorld.com. They say he created Tara the singing android as a sort of artsy experiment, but Bergeron has never come forward. The video is so perplexing it spawned numerous copycat videos and even its own creepypasta.
I feel fantastic, hey hey hey.
This unsettling video was sent to our Facebook page a few months ago. The description reads, "I'm coming for you. All of you, you can't escape me. I need 1 million souls for transport back to hell. In 1 week, may I please have your soul? I'll take good care of it, I promise." It's basically 12 minutes of a guy dressed in a clown suit, drinking wine, coughing and spluttering, saying how he's going to collect our souls and take them back to hell.
I will be back looking for you. All of you. And your souls. I want your souls.
Released in 2005, this highly experimental film by Ryan Trecarton makes you wonder whether someone slipped some acid into your morning bowl of Cap'n Crunch. Supposedly, this story follows protagonist Skippy as he leaves his troubled family in search of a better life. However, from what I can tell, it just seems to be 40 minutes of gratuitous psychedelic imagery performed by a group of stoned art students. Either way, the production quality is undeniably creepy and wholly unsettling.
Son, Dad, what do you want? Son, Dad, son.
Begotten is an experimental film released in 1990 by director E. Elias Mehig. It is 1 hour and 12 minutes of dark, twisted reality. It's like you've developed an uneasy fever of which there is no recovery. The film is a distorted retelling of the Bible's Genesis. The opening is probably the most notable and disturbing scene. It depicts God disemboweling himself as he writhes about covered in blood. This very unsettling YouTube clip began circulating around 2014. It's fairly hard to describe, so it's probably best we just watch a little. This version has been edited to be extra creepy with dubbed sound and overlaid visual effects. The original, titled Transfiguration, is actually by a performance artist named Olivia de Sagazan. The first iteration of the piece appeared in 2001 and has since been in constant change as the artist seeks to challenge the viewer in new ways. Well, I'd say it's been very successful because I'm currently in need of a fresh pair of pants. Well, I'm a little unsettled. How about you? As always, thanks heaps for watching. Hit that thumbs up button if you're watching this video on the can. Remember to follow us on Twitter @SlapTam for daily Did You Know facts. And this is our Slap Time.
Slap time.
5 ghosts caught on CCTV. From a centuries-old headless drummer boy to a terrifying poltergeist attack, join us as we take a look at 5 pieces of ghostly CCTV footage. This is some footage of a man filming an airport runway. When he glances down at the road, his camera captures something off-putting. Whatever was captured disappears. The creepy thing is that it triggers the CCTV camera to spin around and look at the window where the figure was. This is some CCTV footage taken in October 2013 at Jimmy's World Grill and Bar. It shows a woman finishing a meal then getting up to pay. Once she leaves, something weird happens at her table. Dover Castle in Kent, England is reportedly haunted by several ghosts. Workers and security guards often report disembodied screams coming from the castle ramparts. The halls are said to be haunted by a headless drummer boy who was brutally murdered many centuries ago. Here's some footage taken in August 2009 at one of the gates to the castle. Some kind of dark figure floats across the screen then disappears. Moments later, a security guard rushes to the scene but is dumbfounded by the experience. This is some CCTV footage taken at the Carlisle Castle Hotel in Newtown, Sydney, Australia. When owner Peter Bradbury noticed strange things happening around the bar, such as glasses smashing and wine falling off the shelves, he decided to review the security camera footage. What it captured is truly startling. A security camera in a Malaysian hotel has captured a terrifying encounter. The first camera shows an armchair sliding on its own, then a door violently slamming shut. The footage then cuts to a woman sitting alone in a room. What happens next is terrifying. Fresh pantalones, please. As always, thanks heaps for watching. If you've got any interesting theories about these pieces of footage, let us know in the comments section below. We'd love to hear them. Remember to hit that thumbs up button. Let's try and get this video to 1,000 likes. And this is their Slap Time shining off.
How you doing? I'm Callan and this is Slapped Ham. From haunted hospitals to eerie schools, we count the 10 most haunted places in the Philippines. And before we get into it, remember to hit that subscribe button for more creepy content just like this.
Fort Santiago was the butchering site of hundreds of soldiers and civilians during the Second World War. Intramuros was further devastated in 1945 as the Americans fought the Japanese, resulting in the deaths of thousands as the city burnt to ashes. Today there are sightings of ghost soldiers patrolling at night. Moreover, there were reported screams of persecutions and torture that echo throughout the city walls when darkness sets in. Fort Santiago was a defense fortress built by Miguel López de Legazpi, a Spanish conquistador. The fort forms part of Intramuros' city structures and was a holding place for the famous Filipino hero Jose Rizal. He was executed in 1896. His final footsteps from the cell to the execution grounds have been bronzed on the floor. Visitors report an eerie feeling as they follow these bronzed footsteps, with many saying they've felt his touch. Others have even passed out on the spot. Another World War II victim, the Diplomat Hotel, is now an eerie structure in Dominican Hill. Apparently it was the beheading site of priests and nuns during the war. People in the nearby area perpetually report hearing howls and screams at all times of the day. The Diplomat's former employees claim that there are headless ghosts that traverse the long dark hallways of the hotel, carrying their heads on plates. The Diplomat used to be a seminary and rest house before being converted to a hotel in 1911. It was the actual beheading of numerous members of the clergy in its grounds that is attributed to the sightings of headless apparitions by former guests and employees. The death of its owner in 1987, spiritual healer Tony Agpaeo, saw to the hotel closing shop. It remains off limits to both visitors and the public. Nevertheless, nearby villages still hear disturbing sounds emanating from Dominican Hill during the night. Dishes clattering, doors banging, and agonizing screams are pretty much a common occurrence. The Ozone Disco was once a hit club in Quezon City. In 1996, however, over 160 people lost their lives in this hotspot. The disco caught fire, and because of mass panicking, many didn't make it out. People near the former club's location still report hearing ghostly disco music at night, accompanied by faint apparitions dancing. The disco had its premises along Timog Avenue in Quezon City. It was opened by Sergio Agao in 1991. The premises previously housed a jazz club known as Birdland. On March 18, 1996, a fire broke out. At the time, Ozone had over 350 patrons and 40 employees in a space meant for just 35 occupants. Sadly, the majority of the patrons were college and high school attendants. It's reported that sparks started flying out of the DJ's booth, followed by smoke, which everyone considered to be part of the party act. After subduing the fire, bodies were found piled up waist high at the club's only exit. The fire exit, on the other hand, had been blocked by another building. It's also said that the disco's bouncers apparently locked the main exit from outside, fearing a riot. Today, the former club's burnt-out shell remains vacant and undisturbed, save for the perennial ghost sightings, voices, and strange music. The cool weather in Baguio City has made it the unofficial summer capital of the Philippines for a long time. As such, it wasn't a surprise when American teachers chose this city as a training site in the 1900s. Since then, the teachers' camp has been used as a training, retreat, or seminar center. Nevertheless, reports of ghost sightings are rampant in these grounds. Both visitors and caretakers say they hear a lady crying in the nearby cottages, or heavy footsteps in the hallways. Other common reports are that of a headless priest and a white lady walking around the grounds. Some guests have even reported being woken up at exactly 3 AM by a white lady oozing blood. This was an American settlement that faced some major bombing in World War II by the Japanese. One of these was an air raid on Christmas Day of 1941, when American soldiers were partying inside the home plate canteen. Apparently, the partying souls have not missed a beat or are unaware of their demise. Early morning joggers often report hearing excited talk and music inside the grounds, even though they're evidently empty. The abandoned Clark Air Base Hospital is another site for paranormal activity. In addition to hearing mysterious voices and seeing apparitions, violent spirits started terrorizing the grounds, which led to the area being rendered off limits to everyone. At the Clark Museum, sightings of a ghost of a serviceman that hung himself in the premises still haunt the property. Needless to say, Clark Air Base has had a long, turbulent and bloody history. This airbase was also the evacuation site for American soldiers during the Vietnam War. Death and trauma resulting from the conflict has also been attributed to the presence of spirits in the hospital. The now ruined Clark Base Hospital is a hub for ghostly activity. Swing sets moving back and forth inexplicably, voices in empty buildings, dancing orbs of light, apparitions that bear battle scars floating around, and other occurrences have been reported countless times. Visitors have even had objects thrown at them from nowhere. Several TV crews have attempted to investigate the authenticity of these claims. Most of them were so badly frightened that they didn't stick around to complete production. It seems World War II still has lingering effects in the Philippines in the form of terrifying hauntings. The Los Banos campus certainly has its fair share. Not only did the campus witness the war, but it's also located at the foot of a spooky mountain, Mount Makiling. There are reported sightings of the Capre, a Filipino mythical creature. These creatures are said to be tall, hairy and muscular, and often attract attention due to their peculiar smell. Ancient stories claim that these beasts can be vengeful and violent if their habitat is threatened, often clubbing intruders to death. It's also said that they are mischievous creatures that play tricks on people. Students often report that the university's bridges always seem longer to cross during the nighttime, leaving some to believe they're being stalked by the Capre. Additionally, the campus is close to Baker Hill, an infamous Japanese war camp. It's said that ghosts of former prisoners linger in the area unaware of their demise. Students often say they've seen soldiers walking around the grounds of the university. They look shell-shocked and confused, wandering around aimlessly. When approached by staff or students, they seem to stare right through them before turning into a strange mist and disappearing altogether. People who have had these experiences report overwhelming depression and anxiety in the subsequent days. It's as though the fear and sadness of the soldiers has transferred into them. To this day, no one has been able to explain these mysterious events. San Jose is the capital town in the province of Antique on Panay Island. Locals believe the area is haunted by ghost pirates. They say the pirates lurk in the shadows near the docks. It's thought that these ghost pirates will fiercely defend their territory, guarding their hoards of treasure from years gone by. San Jose also has churches that were built on top of burial grounds by the Spanish. Many people report these churches to be among the most haunted places in the Philippines. Some say the area is tormented by a mythical creature known as a whack-whack, the supposed bird form of a vampire or witch. These wild creatures are known to tear the flesh from animals and humans and gorge on the spilled blood. Graves in the local cemetery are often adorned with garlic and surrounded by lines of salt in an effort to repel these evil creatures. Ballet Drive is famous for sightings of a ghost white lady, in addition to numerous haunted houses which were constructed during the 19th century. This area is abundant with ballet trees, which are said to be a favourite resting grounds for lost and wandering spirits. It's said that they sit in ballet trees waiting to prey on their next victim. It's believed that the ghost white lady was a woman who was accosted and raped by Japanese soldiers during World War II. Her corpse was reportedly not even buried. It was thrown into a ditch by the road where it remained for several years. Bit by bit, the body was picked apart by rats, birds, insects and other creatures. It's claimed that part of her hair and bones are buried in underground rats' holes or perched in branches as part of birds' nests. Her face is said to have been taken by the man who killed her as a personal souvenir. It's believed that her spirit still searches for the man and his descendants to exact her revenge. Those who have witnessed her ghost advise motorists to avoid Ballet Drive at all costs, particularly if you're alone. If you have to use the route, ensure your backseat is full and that no one looks behind them or into their mirrors. If you take a taxi cab along this route, you'll notice the driver's edginess when you come near the spot. If either of you notices her, you're in for a violent death. You can only mitigate this disastrous outcome by fasting and reciting the Holy Rosary for the next 3 days. Only then will you be spared. Those who have seen the White Lady's ghost and lived to tell the tale report of seeing an apparition wearing a long white and blood-stained gown. It is tattered and ripped, and she is sporting long dishevelled hair. Her face is indistinguishable and covered with dripping blood. The modern tale of her story purports that she faced a gruesome death by the hands of a taxi driver. Coincidentally, almost anyone that reports of her sighting is either a sole driver or a motorcyclist. The San Juan area is home to strange stories. One of these tales is about the Pasatsat, ghosts from the Second World War. Because graveyards and coffins were too pricey for the natives, they instead wrapped their dead in reed mats. Apparently, if someone becomes haunted by a Pasatsat, they need to find their grave and stab their reed coffin to lay the angry spirit to rest. Pasatsat means to stab. That's not all, there is a devil man in San Juan whose MO is to ask for cigars. Those that have encountered the devil man report that instead of a face, he has extreme darkness in its place and usually dons a wide-brimmed hat. Give him a cigarette and you'll be okay. He also has a penchant for native cigarettes. San Juan also has a headless nun that was reportedly beheaded by the Spanish. If you see her and she touches you on your left shoulder, you'll either go mad or die instantly. Before we get to the number one spot and find out where the most haunted place in the Philippines is, remember to hit that subscribe button and turn on channel notifications. That way you'll be up to date with all our latest creepy content. Among the most haunted places in the Philippines, the Manila Film Center has to take first place. It's said that the spirits of those died constructing the center still roam around the area looking for live bodies to inhabit. The bizarre stories behind the Manila Film Center began in the 1980s during its construction. Apparently, the construction was rushed in a bid to meet the date of a certain festival. This led to the ceiling scaffolding collapsing and sending the men working on it plummeting down to their deaths. Instead of retrieving the bodies or rescuing the survivors, the First Lady, Imelda Marcos, who was the project's chief financier, ordered that cement be poured where the men had landed, entombing them forever. Since then, there have been strange happenings all around the facility. Even though the film center is still operational, it's marred by controversy and paranormal activities. People often report things moving on their own, loud banging and strange whispering. Some have said they've heard crying coming from the toilets, but when they go to investigate, there's no one there.
Well, there's some more awesome creepy content for you. Thank you so much for watching. If you're enjoying it, hit that upward facing thumb. Leave us a comment down below which one of these stories you thought was the creepiest. And that's it for me. I'll see you all next time. Pew! Follow us on Twitter @SlappedHam to see outtakes just like this. From a Spanish YouTuber who made it massive trolling people on YouTube. Join us as we take a look at the top 10 most subscribed channels, top 10 most subscribed YouTube channels as of 2016. The top 10 most subscribed YouTube channels as of Dillybop. From a Spanish YouTuber who made it massive trolling people on chat roulette. Pew! And anywhere. Pew! 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 There's links everywhere if you want to check them out. And that'll probably do. Toodles! Oh, stress!
From a mysterious flying creature slamming into a windscreen to a bolt of lightning striking a moving car. Join us as we take a look at 8 bizarre traffic accidents caught on camera. This footage was taken on a road in Qingtai, China. It shows 2 white vans approaching an intersection when suddenly something very strange happens. Out of nowhere, the 2 vans lift off the ground and get pushed backwards. It's as though a strong gust of wind just picks them up. Many theorists believe some kind of paranormal force lifted the cars into the air. The answer, however, is a little more grounded. According to the driver of the van, the street cleaner, seen on the right-hand side of the screen, got tangled up in some fallen cabling. It then pulled taut across the road, pushing the vans up into the air. This footage was taken by stunned motorists in Khao Yai National Park in Thailand. Here we see a bull elephant during mating season causing havoc on the road. It climbs all over the cars, mounting their roofs, sitting on their bonnets and tearing shreds off their bumpers. There's not a lot of information available about this clip. Taken in an unknown location, it shows several people driving down a highway when things take a turn for the worst. Out of the sky, a mysterious object flies into the windscreen, causing them to swerve off the road. Some claim it's some kind of winged creature, calling it a demon, a goblin, a flying alien. Skeptics have noted that cameras don't glitch out like that even when smashed around, leaving a lot of internet commentators shouting fake. Whatever the case may be, it's an alarming piece of footage, and I hope no one was injured as a result. This incredible footage was taken on the 29th of December 2014 in Victoria, Australia. It's on a notoriously dangerous stretch of road known as the Black Spur. As high winds sweep through the forest, a tree gives way, falling across the road. Then another one, and another one. Oh dear Lord, the whole forest is falling down. While this isn't a traffic accident as such, it does involve cars. Filmed on board the cargo ship Aston Gate in the wake of a storm, a number of smashed Japanese imported cars are seen strewn about the deck. As the vessel travelled from Japan to Russia with a cargo of 64 cars, 52 of them were flung into the ocean as the ship encountered unusually choppy seas. There's little information how exactly the accident occurred, as no distress signals were recorded during the ship's transit. Reports have noted that a clause in the shipping contract states that owners are importing the cars at their own risk. Woof, that's 52 uninsured cars sitting at the bottom of the ocean. This wild footage was captured by a CCTV camera on the property of a manufacturing plant in Edmonton, Canada. It shows a pickup truck driving down the highway when suddenly a bolt of lightning strikes down onto the roof of the car. The elderly couple that were in the truck at the time were luckily saved by a passing police officer just moments after the stream of electricity hit. On September 1st, 2015, this dashcam captured some extraordinary footage while driving down the highway in San Bernardino, California. It shows the moment when an intoxicated woman steps out of the driver's seat of a moving car and calmly walks onto the sidewalk. The car, which was left in gear, careens into oncoming traffic, forcing drivers to take evasive action. According to the Daily Mail, the driver was so intoxicated she was unable to give a statement to police. Infuriatingly, she was released without charge due to insufficient evidence. If clear video footage and blood alcohol readings aren't sufficient evidence, then I don't know what is. This is the Lefortovo Tunnel in Moscow, Russia. It's been known to cause so many accidents that it's been nicknamed the Tunnel of Death. Built in 2003, it runs under the Yautza River, which has been known to leak down into the tunnel. In winter, temperatures can drop as low as minus 38 degrees Celsius, which freezes the leaking river water, creating a very dangerous stretch of road. This CCTV footage highlights just how deadly it can be. An icy road can explain most of these accidents along this tunnel of doom, but how do they explain this one? Watch closely as out of nowhere this truck collides with another invisible truck. If anyone can explain this accident, please leave a comment below.
How you doing? I'm Callan and this is Slapped Ham. Today we're talking about mysterious unknown creatures, from a gigantic Icelandic worm to a faceless bloated animal that washed ashore after Hurricane Harvey. We count 6 mysterious creatures spotted on camera.
In September 2017, after Hurricane Harvey battered the coastline of southwest Texas, this strange faceless fanged creature washed ashore. Strong winds and heavy rains pounded the shoreline, bringing with it this bizarre-looking animal. Pretty Desai, a social media manager for conservationist company Audubon, was documenting the devastation caused by Hurricane Harvey when she came upon the unknown animal. She took some photos and posed the question to Twitter, "What the heck is this?" When the photos went live, it whipped people into a frenzy, quick to call it a prehistoric dinosaur or even an alien from another planet. Desai said that someone suggested that she get in contact with Kenneth Teague, a biologist at the Smithsonian National Museum of Natural History. Teague, who is a specialist in eels, commented on the photo suggesting it was most likely a fang-toothed snake eel, or Aplotophis chorliotis. As the photos don't conclusively show certain features of the creature, it's still not positively identified, leaving some to speculate on the species' origin. What do you think? Is this merely a bloated eel, or is this some kind of prehistoric beast that lurks deep in the oceans off the coast of Texas? Released in January 2015, this startling footage shot in Lettuce Lake Park, Tampa, Florida, shows a bipedal ape-like creature walking through the swamp. The man who captured the footage, known only as Matt M., was canoeing through the swamp when he noticed something strange. He initially thought he had spotted a bear and began filming. But when he later asked a park ranger about bears in the area, they said they tend to stay away from swampy areas. If you take a closer look, it appears to have much longer arms than a bear and walks comfortably on its hind legs. Many say a hominid cryptid creature known as a skunk ape roams the Florida area. It gets its name from the foul-smelling odor that it reportedly emanates. Numerous witnesses throughout Florida have reported seeing a big, hairy, ape-like creature that runs on two legs. Could this footage be proof of a skunk ape? In February 2012, this footage was released to the public. Filmed in Lagerflut, Iceland, the footage shows a long, slender creature snaking through icy water. Many locals believe it to be a mythic Icelandic worm monster that has had reported sightings as far back as 1345. The legends tell of a heath dragon that slithered into the lake centuries ago. It grew large and heavy as it fed on unsuspecting villagers. Since these early tales, many sightings have been reported, most notably in 1963 when the head of the Icelandic National Forest Service spotted a long, slender beast trailing through the murky waters. Then, in 1998, a teacher and several students say they saw a worm-like creature swimming just offshore. The lake where the sightings occurred is notoriously murky, with very poor depth visibility as the glacial-fed waters have high siltation. In 1983, contractors were laying phone cabling in the lake. While conducting preliminary tests, they detected a large moving mass near the eastern shore. Later, when they retrieved their cabling, it had sustained massive damage right where the moving mass had been detected. The heavy-duty cable had been badly torn in several places. One of the engineers believed they had dropped the cabling directly on top of the fabled beast. Over the subsequent decades, sightings diminished until the striking 2012 footage emerged. A panel of experts were assembled to scrutinise the footage. Some believe it to be gases rising from the lake bed creating an optical illusion. Others think it's nothing more than a fishing net trailing through a current. However, others believe the scientific explanations to be inconclusive, admitting they had no reason to doubt the existence of the great Icelandic worm. Could this creature be nothing more than debris or optical illusion, or is there some truth to the legendary folklore? There's not a lot of solid information about this clip, but when it surfaced in early 2016, it sent the paranormal community into a frenzy. Filmed in the Portuguese desert, the footage shows a strange bipedal creature with long arms walking through the brushland. It takes a few lumbering steps before disappearing behind a bush. When the footage was shared to social media, it got more than 200,000 views, sparking fierce debate as to what the creature could be. Skeptics have dismissed the poor quality footage as a hoax, while some locals are claiming it to be the chupacabra, a mythical beast that sucks the blood from livestock. The Mothman is a mythical creature that's become notorious in West Virginia, USA. The winged beast entered local folklore in the mid-60s when various locals reported seeing a large unknown creature flying through the air. It's said to have a wingspan of up to 14 feet with a solid body like that of a fully grown man. Its eyes are bulbous and it has sharp fang-like teeth. The first sighting occurred on November 12, 1966, when 5 men who were digging a grave in a cemetery in Clendenin, West Virginia, spotted a large flying creature that they describe as man-like. It flew low to the adjacent tree line, hung for a moment in the air, then flew off into the distance. Just days later, 2 couples from Point Pleasant had a similar experience. They were driving along a highway near an old World War II munitions base when they spotted a giant winged beast with glowing red eyes. They said it was a large flying man with 10-foot wings. One of the most famous Mothman sightings is linked to the tragic collapse of the Silver Bridge in Point Pleasant, West Virginia in 1976. In the middle of peak hour traffic, the bridge suddenly gave way, sending cars, cement and metal debris crashing into the river below. 46 people lost their lives in the accident. Many witnesses claim that the Mothman was present that fateful day and was responsible for the structural failure. Sightings of the legendary Mothman became rare until this photo surfaced in 2016. A man who had only recently moved to Point Pleasant snapped this picture while driving down State Route 2. As he drove, he noticed a large creature jumping from tree to tree. The photo has clearly captured evidence of a large humanoid creature with spread wings. Could this be the famous Mothman of West Virginian folklore, or is it just a hoax designed to drum up tourism and interest in this old mythic tale? This photo was taken on August 3, 2015 in Jodhpur in western Rajasthan, India. It shows a strange, long-limbed creature with 4 fingers, no thumbs and bulbous black eyes. Villagers claim they were digging a well when they came by the animal deep in the ground. The man holding the creature in the photo said he had no idea what it was and was baffled when they unearthed the bizarre-looking critter. When the picture was posted to Facebook, it got shared thousands of times, many quick to claim that it's a subterranean alien from another planet. Others thought it was perhaps a malformed fetus of some kind. Some dismissed the photo as an outright hoax. However, even to this day, there's been no solid explanation for the mysterious creature.
Well, there's another episode down. Thank you so much for watching. Remember to share this bad boy around with your friends and family on social media. Remember to follow us on all social media as well. You can get all our accounts just down below there. And that's it for me. I'll see you all next time. Pew! How you doing? I'm Callan and this is Slapped Ham. Today we're talking about Sasquatches. From a family of Bigfoot spotted in the Blue Mountains of Washington to possible skunk ape sightings. Join us as we take a look at 7 real Bigfoot sightings that'll make you a believer. And today I want to give a huge shout out to the Pennsylvania Sasquatch research team for helping out with this list.
This is some striking footage captured by cryptozoologist Paul Freeman in 1994. While walking in the Blue Mountains of Washington, Freeman discovered some unusual animal tracks. He noticed they were heading in 2 directions, trailing up and down a particular glade on the mountain. This is what he captured on camera. In the footage, you can see a bipedal, ape-like creature walking through the woods. It's covered in black fur and moves with a lumbering gait. The creature looks strong with big arms and a wide back. Freeman pants heavily as he tries to track the animal.
Get better picture. Where the doggone thing went? It crossed right up there.
At one point, it looks as though he stumbled upon a family of Sasquatches, as there's multiple tracks heading in all directions. Over the years, Freeman claimed he encountered Bigfoot several times while walking through dense woodland in Washington. He even made a plaster cast of footprints he found that contained dermal ridges. The casts were so convincing that some anthropologists considered them as evidence to support the existence of Bigfoot. The 1994 footage is considered by many to be genuine and one of the most compelling pieces of evidence ever recorded. Others, however, think Freeman was nothing but a hoaxer looking for fame and fortune. In Carbondale, Pennsylvania, locals have reported sightings of a strange creature lurking in the woods. They say it's a white Bigfoot 6 to 7 feet tall with shaggy fur covering its entire body. Residents often hear strange noises too, low groans and rustling in the trees. In 2008, this video surfaced and quickly went viral. It was filmed by a man who heard noises coming from his yard that backs onto woodland. In the clip, you can see a very strange looking creature. It pauses for a split second, then darts off into the darkness. It has deep black eyes, a long cone-shaped head, and is covered in white fur. Analysts have noted that it would be difficult to fake. The figure is unusually tall and has gigantic proportions. It moves quickly despite its large frame. The face contorts and reacts, which wouldn't happen if it was simply a mask. It's worth noting that Carbondale is the site for the first underground mine in the US. It's a vast network of deep, dark tunnels. Many believe it's possible that this creature lives deep in the mines and only surfaces to go hunting. This footage was captured on Independence Day 2010 in an unknown location. In the clip, you can see a Sasquatch-like creature walking through the woods. It has the proportions of a gorilla but walks freely on 2 feet. It's clearly startled by the cameraman as it runs behind a rock. Suddenly it reappears holding its young in its arms. The creature keeps a close eye on the intruding cameraman as it scrambles to protect its baby. Viewers have noted the strange proportions and unusual movements of its legs, which would be difficult to hoax. And unlike other Bigfoot sightings, the footage is very clear too. Unfortunately, the cameraman has never come forward, nor has the location ever been revealed, which makes it difficult to make further comment on the authenticity of the video. In 2014, a couple in Spartansburg, Pennsylvania claimed they encountered a Bigfoot while walking through the forest. Donald Slovey and Amanda Jamar say they heard strange noises like rustling and branches snapping in the distance. Allegedly, they spotted a tall bipedal creature pacing back and forth among the trees. Jamar took out her phone and began filming. In the footage, we can see a tall brown animal walking upright through the woods. It paces back and forth, alerted to the presence of the couple. Sadly, the camera is just too far away from the creature to make any definitive comment. It's quite possible that this could just be a person wearing an ape suit. The footage is very grainy and distant. Analysts have noted that while the couple say they were together while filming, you don't ever hear or see Slovey at all. You can hear Jamar whispering and asking questions, but Slovey never responds, which makes some people think that it's just Slovey in the distance walking around in a homemade Sasquatch suit. Others, however, have defended the footage, saying that the creature's movements are very animal-like. The pacing back and forth and assessment of danger are all very similar to a gorilla's behaviour. Love to get your opinion on this clip in the comments section below. Released in January 2015, this startling footage, shot in Lettuce Lake Park, Tampa, Florida, shows a bipedal, ape-like creature walking through the swamp. The man who captured the footage, known only as Matt M, was canoeing through the swamp when he noticed something strange. He initially thought he had spotted a bear and began filming, but when he later asked a park ranger about bears in the area, they said they tend to stay away from swampy areas. If you take a closer look, it appears to have much longer arms than a bear and walks comfortably on its hind legs. Many say a hominid cryptid creature known as a skunk ape roams the Florida area. It gets its name from the foul-smelling odor that it reportedly emanates. Numerous witnesses throughout Florida have reported seeing a big, hairy, ape-like creature that runs on 2 legs. Could this be the skunk ape? These 2 short clips were filmed in the Provo Canyon region in Utah. The first clip is very brief but shows a very large bipedal creature walking among the brush. The Bigfoot-like animal sits by a tree for a second, then seems to pick up a rock and throw it through the air. Sasquatch enthusiasts love this clip as it's the first time anyone has captured a creature like this throwing an object. The second clip was filmed by BYU students who had been camping near Squaw Peak. One of the campers noticed a strange black beast lurking on the ridge of the hill and started filming with their phone. The footage is a little blurry and unstable but does capture something unusual. The strange creature is obscured by branches, so it's hard to get a good look. It's possible that this could just be a bear encounter, however at one point the animal does stand on its rear legs. It looks to have long arms that reach much lower than most animals. Could this be the infamous Sasquatch that hunters have been looking for so many years? At about 6 PM on October 24, 2013, this hunter was out on his Mississippi property looking for wild boar when he spotted a mysterious creature in the distance. The hunter began filming the beast on his iPhone, which he claims was about 50 meters away. He said the animal, which he thought might be a skunk ape, was leaning up against a cypress tree. The cryptid was allegedly stripping bark off logs with its strong hands. In the footage, it's clear that some kind of large animal is sitting in the distance. It has a thick neck and shoulders with a very large gorilla-like head. At one point, you can hear the beast snap a thick branch with its brute strength. The crack echoes through the swamp. Legends tell of giant ape-like animals that roam the swamps of Mississippi. Some call them skunk or stink apes, characterized by a foul odor that is said to accompany them. These creatures have been thought to roam the area for centuries, with thousands of witnesses all reporting very similar sightings. When the hunter was asked about his encounter, he said he was baffled. He claims he's been hunting wild boar for years on this patch of land and has never seen anything like it. Could this hunter have captured proof of the mythic skunk ape that has eluded scientists for so many years?
Now just before we finish this video, I want to give a huge shout out to the Pennsylvania Sasquatch research team. They helped us write this list. Now if you're into all things Bigfoot, I highly recommend you check out their channel. A link should appear right now in the corner there. Head on over, show them some love. If you like what you see, hit subscribe and tell them Slapped Ham sent you. Well, that's the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching. If you're new to the channel, consider hitting that subscribe button because we do stuff like this each and every week. Hit that upward facing thumb or leave us a comment down below. We love reading them. And this is the Slapped Ham shining off. Pew! How you doing? I'm Callan and this is Slapped Ham. From spirits lingering in old cemeteries to the dark, winding passageways of the Paris catacombs, we count 10 of the most haunted places in France. And I just want to apologise ahead of time for my terrible French pronunciation. But without further delay, let's get into this list.
The Père Lachaise Cemetery is the largest cemetery in Paris, covering 110 acres of land with over 300,000 individuals buried there. It was established in 1804 and it's known not only for the beauty of its sculptures and tombstones adorning the many graves, but also for the numerous famous individuals who have been interred there, including poet and playwright Oscar Wilde, composer Chopin, and Jim Morrison of The Doors. Père Lachaise is also well known for the restless spirits that wander its grounds. Visitors report numerous encounters including orbs, ghostly lights, eerie sensations, cold spots, and apparition sightings. Visitors experience ghostly tugs on their clothing when they venture too close to the grave of Prime Minister Adolphe Thiers, and it's rumoured that the ghost of Jim Morrison can sometimes be seen wandering in the vicinity of his gravesite. Chateau de Brissac may look like a fairy tale castle, but it has a dark history filled with adultery and murder that ultimately makes it one of the most haunted places in France. Built in the 11th century in the province of Anjou, the Chateau de Brissac was rebuilt in the 15th century by Pierre de Brise, the chief minister of King Charles VII. Jacques de Brise then inherited the chateau after his father's passing. It was at this time that the Chateau de Brissac gained its notoriety. Jacques married Charlotte de Valois, the daughter of Charles VII. Charlotte was known for her dalliances with other men, and when Jacques caught her with one of his huntsmen, he ran them both through with his sword, killing them instantly. Soon there were reports of ghostly activity, with the belief that Charlotte and her lover roamed the chateau, wailing in their sorrow and loss. Some legends even state that Jacques was forced to sell the chateau because he was being tormented by the ghostly pair. Visitors today report a variety of encounters including ghostly wailing, apparitions, and being touched by unseen hands. Perched atop a massive rock island near the coast of Normandy, Mont Saint-Michel is a grand monument that was built under mystical circumstances. In the 8th century, Bishop Aubert of Avranches began construction of the oratory after receiving a vision from Archangel Michael, telling him that he was to build a church. Some legends even go so far as to suggest that the church was built by Archangel Michael himself. Regardless, nuns and monks still inhabit the island today, returning to the abbey after a checkered history that included a period when the abbey was converted to a prison during the French Revolution. Mont Saint-Michel is believed to be haunted by a variety of figures, but the one that stands out as the most notorious is Louis d'Esteville. When he took command of a garrison at Mont Saint-Michel in 1434, Louis d'Esteville was considered to be a ruthless lord. He went on to lead his men in the slaughter of 2,000 Englishmen during the 100 Years' War, killing so many that legends state that the sands of the island were red with blood. It's believed that his ghost still wanders the halls and grounds of Mont Saint-Michel today, protecting the Mont from invasion. There are also reports of spectral monks wandering the grounds and buildings, perhaps praying for the souls of the dead Englishmen who died so many years ago. Château de Tressasson is an ancient castle replete with legends of family quarrels and murder. The chateau in its current condition is believed to have been constructed in the 15th century, but the Tressasson family is documented as far back as the 13th century. One of the more prominent legends tells of the Bride of Tressasson. One night in the 1750s, a young bride was buried alive, apparently by her brother. A poacher who was hiding in a nearby tree claimed to have witnessed the event, stating that the scene unfolded when a coach arrived with a young woman and 2 gentlemen inside. A hole was dug and the young woman, who was dressed in a bridal attire, could be heard pleading with her brother and his friend not to kill her. The men buried her alive, stating that she had dishonoured the family name. Another version of this tale has the bride being bricked up in a castle wall on the morning of her wedding. Beside the legend of the Bride of Tressasson, there are other stories of mysterious occurrences at the castle, including a headless ghost and a phantom card game that sometimes ends with one of the players pointing a spectral gun at witnesses. Unfortunately, the castle is privately owned, so tourists aren't allowed in to catch a glimpse of the local ghosts. The home of Henri Désiré Landru is possibly one of the most haunted places in France. Outwardly, the house is attractive, speaking of grander times when those who could afford it lived life to the fullest. Located in Gambay and Yvelines, the house has a dark past that ultimately has resulted in numerous tenants leaving their home out of fear. While living in the house, Henri Désiré Landru killed at least 10 women and 1 teenage boy between 1914 and 1919. Landru would place Lonely Hearts advertisements in local Paris newspapers, luring his victims to his home where he then murdered them. Landru dismembered the bodies and then burned the parts in his oven. He was finally caught in 1919 when the sister of one of his victims convinced the police to begin an investigation. His case went to trial in 1921, where he was found guilty and sentenced to death by guillotine, a sentence that was served 3 months later in Versailles. It's believed that the house is haunted by his victims and possibly by Landru himself. The house is again up for sale at a purchase price of €450,000 for anyone brave enough to buy the home. Château de Fougerette, a 14th century castle located in Coux, western France, has been recognised as a paranormal hotspot by specialists who have investigated the location. The chateau has seen a lot of history, including the 100 Years' War. The current owners, Veronica and Francois-Joseph Geoffroy, first began noticing strange activity in 2009 when they purchased the chateau. Since that time, they've allowed paranormal investigators, psychics and tourists to visit the chateau to document the haunting and to try and get some answers as to the reasons behind the ghostly activity. The chateau has been featured on French television due to the activity, and the Geoffroys have photos of the spectres that have been captured by investigators displayed in the living room. Some people who have visited the chateau claim to have encountered threatening spirits, while others state they've heard disembodied voices screaming at visitors to leave the premises. Apparently, the Chateau de Fougeret spirits have no desire for publicity and wish to be left alone. As prison fortresses go, the Bastille was one of the more impressive ones, with 8 towers reaching as high as 80 feet tall, as well as fortifications that included a bastion located to the east of the fortress and a surrounding moat. Construction began on the Bastille in 1357, and it was declared a state prison in 1417. The Bastille was home to a number of famous prisoners, including Voltaire and the Marquis de Sade. The French Revolution saw the end of the Bastille. It was destroyed on July 14, 1789, but some of the ruins can be found on Boulevard Henry IV, while its original location hosts the Place de la Bastille. There are numerous reports of ghostly encounters at both locations, with visitors noting unusual smells, sensations of fright and unease, and the sighting of ghostly apparitions. The Jardin des Tuileries was created by Catherine de' Medici in 1564 as the formal garden of the Tuileries Palace. While initially it was closed to the public, being used by Catherine and other nobles as a private escape, the garden was opened to the public in 1667, eventually becoming a public park after the French Revolution. There is a darker history hidden behind the beauty and attraction of the garden, however. Catherine hired Jean Le Cacassier to assassinate political foes after the death of her husband, Henry II. Due to his unsavoury line of work in her service, Jean was savvy to many of the Queen's secrets, a situation that Catherine wasn't comfortable with. She employed a man named Nouvel to murder Jean, which he did in the Jardin des Tuileries. Soon, the spectre of Jean was seen in the garden and he became known as the Red Man of the Tuileries. He was seen by numerous individuals, including Nouvel, who some say witnessed Jean's ghost shortly after his death, covered in blood. Apparently, Jean delivered a final message to the Queen through Nouvel, stating that he would haunt Queen Catherine for the rest of her life. Other notables who have seen the Red Man of the Tuileries include Marie Antoinette and Napoleon Bonaparte. It's believed that encountering this apparition is a portent of tragedy that shouldn't be taken lightly. Located in Brittany and built in the 11th century, the Chateau de Chateaubriand has seen more than enough in the way of history and events to collect its fair share of ghosts. In 1252, the current lord of the chateau, Geoffroy IV of Chateaubriand, left his home to join the crusade, leaving his wife Sybil behind. Approximately a year later, it was thought that Geoffroy had died, and his wife was stricken with grief mourning his passing. However, Geoffroy hadn't died. He returned home several months later, causing Sybil such a shock that she died in his arms. In the 16th century, another tragedy struck at the chateau. Jean de Laval travelled to the court of King Francis I, his wife Françoise de Foix accompanying him. While there, Françoise became the Queen's lady-in-waiting, and she also became the mistress of the king. Infuriated, Jean locked his wife away at the chateau, where she later died under strange and mysterious circumstances on October 16, 1537. There are legends that say that de Laval poisoned his wife, while other rumours state that she bled to death. Regardless of how she died, it's said that at midnight on October 16th of each year, Francois leads a spectral procession of monks and knights up the stairs of Chateau de Chateaubriand before disappearing at the final stroke of midnight, making this one of the must-see haunted places in France. Before we get to that number one spot and take a look at what is surely the most haunted place in France, remember to hit that subscribe button and turn on channel notifications. That way you'll be up to date with all our latest creepy content. On the surface, Paris may be referred to as the City of Lights, but it's the Empire of the Dead that rules below the city. Starting in 1786, most of the remains from Parisian graveyards were carted into the caverns and tunnels of what were once ancient stone mines located under the city. In total, over 6 million bodies were eventually moved to the catacombs in an attempt to improve living conditions due to overpopulation and sanitary issues. Over the years, numerous passages were decorated with elaborate structures, fashioned from stacks of bones and skulls, creating a macabre ossuary for the millions who were interred there. While the catacombs hold a dark fascination, enticing many to wander about on their own, it's not necessarily the safest thing to do. There have been several occasions where people have disappeared in the catacombs, some have never been seen again, while others became another addition to the collection of bones. One such occurrence involved Philibert Espère. He disappeared in 1793, but his body wasn't found until 1804. Ironically, his remains were only a few feet from the exit. Numerous paranormal occurrences have been reported at the catacombs. Disembodied voices, glowing orbs, spectral lights, touches from unseen presences, and ghostly apparitions are only some of the things that individuals have experienced while visiting the catacombs.
Well, that's the end of another episode. Thank you so much for watching. If you're enjoying the content, slap that upward facing thumb. It really helps us out. If you can't get enough, there's a link to some more of our content there, or there's some playlist links in the description box below. And that's it from me. I'll see you all next time. Pew!
Schlapham.
10 ghostly photos you've never seen. From creepy little girls with teddy bears to ominous 9-foot tall apparitions, we take a cautious peep at 10 ghostly photos you've never seen. The White Lady of Worstead Church. In 1975, Peter Berthelot took this photo of his wife Diane on a trip to Worstead Church in Norfolk, UK. The couple didn't notice the mysterious figure sitting behind Diane until a friend pointed it out after flipping through some photos some months later. The following year, the couple returned to Worstead Church where they showed the photo to Reverend Pettit, the church vicar. Reverend Pettit immediately recognised the apparition as the White Lady, a ghostly resident of the church who had been in the area for more than 100 years. Phantom of the Philippines. Little is known about this photo taken in Manila, Philippines. The two girls pictured claim that no one was around at the time the photo was taken and that it is not double exposure. Many skeptics argue the validity of this picture, while others believe it to be evidence that proves the existence of the spirit world. Ghostly girl in burning building. On the 19th of November 1995, Tony O'Reilly captured this photo of the Wentown Hall in Shropshire burning to the ground. O'Reilly snapped the pic using a 200mm telephoto lens while standing on the other side of the street. Some locals claim that the little girl seen in the image is the ghost of Jane Churm, a young girl who, in 1677, accidentally set fire to a thatched roof, causing many of the town's old timber houses to burn down. The Grey Lady of Hampton Court. This ghastly image was captured by Holly Hampshire on a trip to Hampton Court Palace, Surrey, UK. 12-year-old Hampshire took a succession of photos of her cousin Brooke McGee and didn't think anything of them until she reviewed the snaps the following day. Some believe the figure Hampshire captured in one photo to be that of Dame Sybil Penn, a servant at Hampton Court, who died of smallpox in 1562. Sightings of the shadowy dame began in 1829 after her tomb was moved due to renovations. Shortly after, strange sounds of someone working a spinning wheel could be heard late at night. This led to a search of the palace, where a secret chamber was discovered that housed a mysterious antique spinning wheel. The ghosts of SS Waterdown. In 1924, Captain Keith Tracy of the SS Waterdown captured this eerie photo after his crewmen reported seeing the ghostly faces of two recently deceased sailors in the waves near the ship. Crew members Michael Meehan and James Courtney were said to have been overcome by fumes and died while cleaning an oil tank some days earlier. The pair were then buried at sea, which was customary at the time. The following day, just as evening was approaching, the first mate of the ship reported seeing the faces of the deceased sailors in the waves off the port side of the ship. After returning ashore, Captain Tracy bought a camera, and next time at sea he is said to have captured this unsettling photo. The Haunted Bureau. This creepy photograph of a Queen Anne-style bureau was taken in the early 20th century. At first glance, everything appears to be normal until you notice the ghostly hand near the top of the image. The furniture dealer Montague Cooper was at a loss to explain this image. Ghostly girl with teddy bear. The young girl in this picture is Anastasia Peretz. Many years after this photo was taken, Peretz was looking through one of her old photo albums when she came across this image and noticed something very unsettling. The ghostly girl with a teddy bear opening the bedroom door behind her to get a closer look. Spectre of Newby Church. Taken in 1963 by Reverend K.F. Lord at Newby Church in North Yorkshire, this unsettling image seemingly captures an ominous 9-foot-tall hooded spectre. Some have proposed that the image may be of a 16th century monk with a white shroud over his face to hide a bad case of leprosy or some other disfigurement. Many photographic experts have studied this ghostly photo only to conclude that it's not a result of double exposure. Just take a close look at the way the figure's black cloak drapes perfectly over the altar stairs. Ghostly photobomb. In 2014, two young UK women took a Halloween selfie which later revealed a terrifying photobomber. After uploading this photo to Snapchat, Kaylee Atkinson rang her friend Victoria Greaves and told her to take a closer look at the photo they'd taken earlier that evening. The picture scared one of the girls so much that she immediately deleted the image from her phone. The two girls claimed there was no one else in the bar at the time this photograph was taken. The Pink Lady of Greencastle. This photo taken by Guy Winters at the O'Hare Mansion in Greencastle, Indiana, appears to show the ghostly apparition of a lady looking out from one of the upstairs windows. Winters, a paranormal photographer, went to investigate after reports of paranormal activity in the abandoned house. Winter claims that the figure's image could not be seen in the window at the time the photo was taken, and only appeared once the photo was developed. An analysis of the film's negative also revealed the ghostly vision. Oh my god, someone send me trousers for I have soiled them out of terror. As always, thanks heaps for watching. Remember to give this video a thumbs up because it lets us know you're enjoying the content. Subscribe if you haven't already because we have new stuff coming out every Thursday, 3 PM Pacific Standard Time. And this is the Slap Time Shiny Wolf.
How you doing? I'm Callan and this is Slapped Ham. Today we're talking about creepy clown sightings. From a clown that's regularly spotted in a New York cemetery to a guy in a mask that chases kids through a playground. We count 10 creepy clown sightings caught on camera.
In 2014, a series of creepy clown sightings began happening across Jacksonville, Florida. These horrifying clowns were captured on CCTV systems that the residents had installed out the front of their houses. Seeing the footage would be enough to make you want to sell your home and get the hell out of there. One of the first sightings is of a clown dressed in red. He wanders up the path and stands there just staring at the house. Weeks later, another clown was filmed standing on the porch of a home, just staring at the camera. A frightened cat scampers to safety. Then suddenly, the clown begins to violently tear a pumpkin apart. Then another was captured. Like the previous incidences, the clown stares at the camera for a moment before lighting his face with electronic lights. He waits for a moment before wandering back out onto the street. What is going on in Jacksonville? This footage was taken by an unidentified person while visiting the Greenwood Cemetery in Brooklyn, New York. It shows a clown carrying a fistful of balloons walking aimlessly amongst the graves. Despite several sightings of this scary clown, security has never been able to catch him. It's as though he disappears without a trace. Three friends in a skate park in eastern Texas captured this unsettling footage while skateboarding in a local park. Suddenly, one of them notices a strange figure in the cemetery on the other side of the road. They soon realize that it's a clown and move in for a closer look. The clown disappears into the darkness. After a few minutes of searching, the boys decide to head back to their car. Suddenly, the creepy clown reappears and begins chasing them through the cemetery. Why they ever thought that it was a good idea to follow the clown into a cemetery at night is beyond me. Two friends in Detroit, Michigan captured this unnerving video on their mobile phone whilst out driving. One of them notices that there is someone hanging onto the back of the bus they're following. As they get closer, they realise it's actually a clown. The footage abruptly ends, leaving the viewer wondering what on earth was going on. Was the clown hitching a ride through town, or were they following someone on the bus? Either way, it's about as creepy as it gets. What do you think this sinister looking clown was up to? This scary video was captured by some children playing Pokemon Go at Sims Park in Newport Richey, Florida. They soon notice what appears to be someone lurking behind a tree. As they move in for a closer look, a clown walks out from behind the bushes. The boys continue to record as the creepy clown slowly walks towards them. When these guys in Missouri noticed a strange clown digging a hole just behind their back fence, they went out to investigate. The clown keeps digging, unaware he's being filmed, until one of the guys yells out,
Hey! What are you doing?
Startled, the clown drops his shovel and begins running towards them. They manage to make it back inside the safety of their house. What was this clown doing? Was he looking for something, or could he have been burying evidence of a terrible crime? Let us know in the comments section below. When a group of friends heard that there was a creepy clown lurking around the back roads of a nearby town, they decided to go for a drive to investigate. At one point, they think they see something strange and turn the car around for another look. As they slow down for a better look, a clown jumps out from behind a tree and begins chasing the car down the road. The footage ends as the clown is about to climb onto the front of the car. I'm fairly certain that this group of friends will never go searching for clowns at night time ever again. This eerie video was captured by two men driving along a quiet road in Omaha, Nebraska. When they notice a clown slowly walking towards them, they decide to back up their car. The clown then disappears into the nearby cornfields. The men can be heard arguing whether or not to continue reversing or just to drive straight ahead. One of them yells, "Step on it," and they quickly drive forwards.
Step on it, go, dude! No, I got it.
As they pass the cornfield, the clown makes a dash for the car and chases them down the road. A group of friends captured this unnerving footage in a park in Dallas, Texas, when they noticed a person in a clown mask walking aimlessly around the grounds. As they get closer, the clown turns and runs at the group while squeezing a horn. They manage to make a lucky escape when the clown loses his mask and wig, forcing him to give up the chase. This video was taken in Bridgeport, West Virginia by a man who was doing a spot of night fishing in a local river. He begins filming with his phone when he hears some strange noises in the distance. He shines his flashlight on a figure coming towards him dressed in a black cloak and clown mask. The man stops recording and runs back to his car. When he's safely inside, he switches his phone back on. The clown has followed the man all the way back to his car and is just standing on the other side of the fence, staring with an empty gaze. What on earth was this clown doing in the woods in the middle of the night? This video makes me never want to leave my house ever again.
Well, how about that? As always, thanks heaps for watching. If you're new to the channel, why not hit that subscribe button right there? Because we do videos just like this each and every week. And that's it from me. I'll see you all next time.